Nice and lays out for a ball and makes the catch. Webchester on the ice. The plan, salami. Then around and unloads to left.
It's time to end off your week on a good note, and I have a feeling you'd agree with this one, Jaxie, but there is no better way to do that than some Sunday Northwoods League baseball. Welcome to the Northwoods League pregame show. I'm Lindsay Studstill.
And I'm Jaxie Pigeon. And Lindsay, you're totally right. I cannot wait to get this Sunday action started.
Me either, Jaxie, but first let's go over what went down last night.
Let's do it. Let's start in the Great Plains Division. The Duluth Huskies trying to snap a 4-game losing streak against the Willmar Stingers. Bottom of the first, Northwoods League All-Star Mike Bovey nails this one down the left field line. Josh Fitzgerald will struggle to get to it. And in comes Charlie Reed turning on the Jets and getting the Huskies on the board first. Top of the sixth, Will Hammeter steps up and hammers this one out of Wade Stadium. He will bring home Carter Howell with him, and the Stingers tie it up at 3-all. To the top of the seventh we go, and Jorge Lucero finds a gap in deep left center field. Brady Council will score, and we will have one more tie here at 4-all. Now to the bottom of the ninth, Josh Weintraub will strike out Peyton Powell for the final out of the game, and the Stingers sting the Huskies, taking this one 11-4.
The St. Cloud Rocks stay atop the Great Plains West after taking down the Moondogs 6-2. Two Rocks players had 2 RBI performances in Bryce Matthews and Otto Kemp. 3 St. Cloud pitchers put together an impressive performance on the mound, only allowing Mankato to score 2 runs off a Matt Higgins homer. The Moondogs are now 3 games behind the Rocks, which could be challenging to come back from.
The Waterloo Bucks headed to Bismarck Municipal Park to take on the Larks. Top of the second, Emmy Gonzalez hit one to Jarrett Bickle at shortstop, who will turn the 6-4-3 double play to get the Larks out of the inning. Bottom of the fourth, Jackson Rosenkrantz sends this one to deep right, but Sam Biller will collide with the Ivy here and make the catch for the out. To the bottom of the sixth we go, and it's Jordan Sagadol up to bat. He's going to get a piece of this one, but Jalen Smith will dive to make the snag and would in turn get the Bucks out of the inning. Top of the eighth, Jacob Ruley gets this one to drop in front of Ben Teal in left, and Emmy Gonzalez would score the final run of the game for the Bucks as they hold the Larks scoreless and get the 2-0 win.
I guess lacrosse decided to celebrate Christmas in July because they gifted the Express this 2-3 win last night. Heading into the 8th, the Express had a 1-run lead, but Ronald Sweeney doing what he does best, sending a homer to right to tie the game. But a wild pitch in the bottom of the inning will send Drew Lechner home to hand Eau Claire the winning run.
The Mud Puppies were hoping to snap their 4-game losing streak against the Honkers. Top of the second, Henry George up to bat. It's a full count with the bases loaded, and Kellen Pate's pitch just a bit off, which in turn walked George and also walked in the first run of the game, which was Ben Palmer of the Mud Puppies. Bottom of the fourth, Alex Pimentel gets this one past a diving Palmer. It would go off the glove of George, and here comes Ben North, who will make it home safe and tie up the game at 1-all. Bottom of the eighth, Jackson Forbes hits this one over William Sturrock's head in right field. It bounces off the wall, and Hank Bard will score the final run of the game for the Honkers, who then went on to win 7-1. Now let's take a deeper look at one of our top plays from Saturday night. Over in the Great Plains Division, we had Jack Collette of the Rochester Honkers steal home. Collette's big steal allowed the Honkers to extend their lead to 2 over the Minnesota Mud Puppies. Rochester never lost their lead after this moment. Nick DeLuca was on the call and has more from Mayo Field.
And 11 RBIs in his last 7. First pitch, he's running. The throw down is low. No throw, and another Rochester run.
Now let's jump into the highlights for the Great Lakes Division. The Kokomo Jackrabbits extend their win streak to 4 after hanging on to take down the Kalamazoo Growlers in extras. The Growlers tied the game up at 5 in the 9th and scored the first run of extras, but it wasn't long before the Jackrabbits tied it back up and eventually scored the winning run off a walk-off walk.
The Booyah were looking to remain at the top of the Great Lakes West while taking on the Kingfish. Top of the first, and Northwoods League All-Star Max Wagner wastes no time as he demolishes this one deep into left, and that one's gone. That was his 6th home run of the season, and he gets the Booyah on the board first as they lead 2-0. Bottom of the second, Carmine Lane hits a grounder to left. It will get all the way back into the corner, and coming in to score is McKay Barney, Mitch Jebb, and Kirk Liebert, and the Kingfish take the 7-5 lead. Bottom of the sixth, Xavier Watson gets this one to drop before a diving Elias Flowers for a 2-base hit, and the Kingfish would make a comeback and take down the Booyah 10-6.
The Bombers and the Rapids Raptors were able to get a bit of action in before the rain settled in. Through 2.5 innings, Battle Creek currently leads the Raptors 3-2 thanks to a great start to the game for Trevor Patterson, who went 2 for 2 in just 3 innings. The game will be resumed today starting at 1:05 and finish to 9 innings, with the regularly scheduled game now only lasting 7 innings.
The Rockford Rivets headed to Turtle Creek Stadium to take on the Traverse City Pitspitters. Bottom of the first, Michael Steigels hits this one to Urdaneta at short, who will get the out at second, but the relay to first would not be in time, which allowed Zeb Roos to score and get Traverse City on the board first. Top of the second, Urdaneta gets this one to drop in short left field, and he would knock in Connor Goodman and also get a base hit out of it, which gives the Rivets the 3-2 lead. Bottom of the eighth, and it's Mario Camilletti hitting a base hit up the middle. Adam Proctor will score, and the Pitspitters come out victoriously, winning 9-4.
It was a high-scoring affair at Warner Park between the Mallards and the Woodchucks last night. The two teams traded leads to begin with, but the Woodchucks always found a way to stay just a step ahead to take the 12-10 win. Each team had a player with a 3 RBI night in JT Benson for Madison, who went 4 for 5, and Kevin Kilpatrick for Wisconsin, who went 5 for 5.
The Lakeshore Chinooks hoping to stay in the win column against the Fond du Lac Dogfighters. Top of the fifth, Ethan Vicrumba gets every piece of this one, taking it deep to right and going yard for the 5th time this season. The Indiana product will cut the lead, however, the Dogfighters still have the 3-1 advantage. Top of the 7th, and Mac Timbrook wanted in on the excitement as he takes this 1 yard to the exact same location as Vicrumba for the Chinooks, and they go up 6-5 on the Dogfighters. To the bottom of the 9th we go. Victor Scott hits this one, but Justin Olson gets some air here to pick off Scott for out number 2. To close out the night, Tyler Keene strikes out McGuire Holbrook, and the Chinooks pick up the 8-5 road win. Now let's take a look at the standings after Saturday's action, starting in the Great Plains Division. In the East, we have a new face at the top in Eau Claire, as the Express are finally in first for the first time in the second half of the season, thanks to their 3-2 win over the Loggers. Duluth is right behind them, sitting at just a game back, so they will have to stay on top of their game if they want to hold on to the top spot. Over in the West, the top 2 teams remain the same as they were the day before, as the Rocks and the Moondogs remain in first and second respectively. We did have a shakeup in third though, as the Honkers have broken their tie with Bismarck thanks to their 7-1 win over Minnesota, and they now hold third place to themselves.
Over in the Lakes, everything remains the same in the East, with Kokomo at the top and Kenosha 2 games back in second. In the West, there is now a 3-way tie for first between the Dogfighters, Booyah, and Woodchucks after Fondy and Green Bay dropped their matchups yesterday and the Woodchucks picked up the win. Madison remains just 1 game behind though, so nothing is too detrimental there.
The Northwoods League Player of the Night was Kevin the Killer Kilpatrick of the Wisconsin Woodchucks from his stellar performance last night against the Madison Mallards at Warner Park. In Saturday's game, Kilpatrick had 5 hits, 5 runs, and 3 RBIs. In the first, he demolished a solo homer to left, followed by a double and 3 singles, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, and 1 in the 9th. The Central Florida Community College redshirt freshman played a big role in securing the 12-10 win for the Woodchucks. Kevin Kilpatrick is the Northwoods League Player of the Night.
The pitcher of the night put up a strong performance on the mound to shut out the Larks and give his team the win. Duncan David of the Waterloo Bucks put up 5 scoreless innings, only allowing 4 hits throughout the game. David struck out 6 of the 21 batters he faced while also not handing out any walks. The University of Iowa redshirt sophomore had one of his strongest performances of the season to shut out Bismarck and earn the title of Northwoods League Pitcher of the Night.
The Duluth Huskies will look to avenge yesterday's loss to the Willmar Stingers today in our first Great Plains game to watch. The Huskies had been tied with the Express for the past 4 days in the Great Plains West, but have now fallen a game behind after Saturday's loss. Duluth is playing some of the worst baseball of the season right now, as they're currently on a 3-game losing streak, and will look to bounce back in a big way today as they look to not just snap their losing streak, but to get back to the top spot in the Great Plains East with a win over Willmar today. But that is not the easiest task at hand right now, as the Stingers are playing some of their best baseball as they are currently on a 3-game winning streak. Does Duluth have what it takes to snap back to their winning ways? Find out today at 105 Central in our first Great Plains game to watch.
The top team in the Great Plains East takes on one of the bottom when the Eau Claire Express face off against the La Crosse Loggers. Yesterday, the game between these two was close the whole way, and the Express only pulled off the win thanks to a wild pitch from the Loggers. La Crosse is yet to beat the Express this season, so they will be looking for every opportunity possible tomorrow to pull ahead. Our second Great Plains game to watch kicks off tonight at 5:05 Central.
The Madison Mallards will welcome the Wisconsin Woodchucks to the Duck Pond for the second day in a row in our first Great Lakes game to watch. The Woodchucks currently sit in a 3-way tie for first in the Great Lakes West with the Booyah and Dock Spiders. It will now have the opportunity to be the lone leader in the Great Lakes West with a win over the Mallards today. But the Mallards aren't just going to go down without a fight, as they sit just 1 game back in the West themselves. If the Chucks want to take over the West, they will need to find a way to shut down Madison's red-hot offense and do what no other team has done the entire second half of the season so far in taking out the Mallards twice in a row at home. Does Wisconsin have what it takes to take over the West? Or will Madison foil their plans and get one step closer to taking over the West themselves? Find out today at 105 Central in our first Great Lakes game to watch.
First in the West and second in the East face off again today in one of our Great Lakes games to watch. The Kingfish will take on the Booyah today at Simmons Field, and while yesterday Kenosha got the best of Green Bay, today it's going to be a bit harder. The Booyah will have their ace Michael Page on the mound, who boasts just a .81 ERA. Page is coming off 3 straight wins, and while Kenosha had 13 hits yesterday, Page normally only gives up around 4 a game. We will see if Page can take down the Kingfish today at 105 Central.
Now let's take a look at today's schedule starting in the Great Plains Division. We have a full slate of games with all 10 teams in action. We kick off the day in Duluth as the Huskies look to take down the Stingers and get back to the top spot in the Great Plains West. We then have 2 games at 4:05 as the Rocks look to keep things rocking over the Moondogs and the Bucks try to make it 2 wins in a row over the Larks. To close out the night, we have 2 more games starting at 5:05 as the Express, the recently named top dogs of the Great Plains West, take on the Loggers, and the Mud Puppies look to avenge Saturday's loss to the Honkers.
Moving over to the Lakes, we have 3 games in the Eastern Time Zone, starting with Battle Creek hosting Wisconsin Rapids at 1:05. Then at 2, the Growlers take on the Jackrabbits, and at 5:05, the Pittsburghers battle it out against the Rivets. In the Central Time Zone, there are 2 matchups at 1:05 with Kenosha hosting Green Bay, and the Woodchucks travel to Warner Park to take on Madison. Finally, the Chinooks round out the night against the Dock Spiders.
And Lindsay, before we close out today's pregame show, I want to remind our viewers that the Northwoods League is now giving you the opportunity to play NWL Lucky 7 for your free shot at $100,000. You can find the NWL Lucky 7 game at northwoodsleague.com under the gaming tab. Simply just answer 7 questions correctly about action in the Northwoods League, and you could be $100,000 richer than when your day began. The game is free to play.
Also, remember to download the Northwoods League app from the App Store or Google Play. It's free, and it helps you keep up with scores, news, and action from all around the league. You can also watch every league game for free this season on most devices, or through Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, or Chromecast.
Make sure to check your favorite team's schedule at northwoodsleague.com/schedule. Follow the Northwoods League on Twitter at NWL Baseball. Thank you for being here. I'm Jaxie Pigeon.
And I'm Lindsay Studstill. Remember to catch the Northwoods League pregame show before every game of the 2021 season. We are here for you. If you can, get out to the park and watch Northwoods League baseball. Have a great day and enjoy the games.
This program was brought to you in part by 5 Tool Ale, the custom beer of the Northwoods League.
But what I loved about the Northwoods League is it's strictly college. The kids are all in the same peer group. It's just so refreshing. So if you like baseball, you leave a stadium and you feel really good about what you just saw.
That was one of the funnest experiences of my life, honestly. That's kind of the first time I, got away from home for a really long time and was kind of living on my own a little bit. The way it kind of simulates college and minor league baseball and professional baseball with the traveling and staying overnight, I had a lot of fun.
More than 700 players have been drafted in the last 5 years, and nearly 100 made their Major League Baseball debut in that time. The Northwoods League is the ultimate collegiate summer baseball experience.
The Huskies have their ace on the mound as Sunday matinee as they look to snap a 5-game losing streak in Game 2 versus the Willmar Stingers. Hello everyone, I'm Adam Cohen and joined alongside a good friend and broadcast partner Matthew Hargrove. The Huskies have seen a lot of the same as of late. 3 straight games where the offense struck first, but the bullpen faltered as of late. And Matt, it's really just been that one big inning that's gone away from the Huskies.
And the big inning last night for the Duluth Huskies was that nightmare 7th where they gave up 7 runs, and we saw 7 walks by the Huskies pitching staff in that top half of the inning. That can't happen. That's been the biggest problem for the Huskies the entire season, is the walks, is the bullpen. And Marcus Pointer, as we go day to day, getting closer to the end of the season, that bullpen starting to get thinner and thinner. And another tough, game today against the Willmar Stingers on hand and looking to end that 5-game losing streak.
And the Huskies are out their closer, Eli Sundquist, whose road and home jerseys are right behind us, and also Jared Southard as well. They're looking for options. That's why they threw out Oscar Lepe in his Huskies debut yesterday and Tyler Meyer. Both of them didn't have it, but at least today they can have Michael Sarhad and Ethan Hammerberg available.
And they have to go to Ethan Hammerberg and Michael Sarhad. Those are, like you said, the 2 best guys coming out of the bullpen today. But Ethan Hammerberg, thinking about the appearances that we've seen from him in the past, we've only gotten an inning or 2 from Ethan Hammerberg out on the bump in each appearance. And with Will McEntire on the bump today for the Huskies, you can assume that maybe McEntire is going to give you 6 or 7 innings. But say that McEntire, if the Stingers get to him, and McEntire is only able to go 3 or 4, then Hammerberg might have to do things that he's been unaccustomed to doing this season, and that is give Marcus Pointer 3 or 4 innings, which Hammerberg definitely can do. We just haven't seen him in that style of play yet.
Fortunately for the Huskies, they are hoping for length from Will McEntire, who does lead the team with 5 quality starts. He will be facing off against Kellen Brothers, however, who has not made a start since July 9th against some Minnesota Mud Puppies and struggled his last time out.
Well, that start has been the only struggle for Brothers, and against the Minnesota Mud Puppies went 2 innings, allowed 5 runs, but his 2 relief appearances after that have been pretty good. And again, talking about that 5-game losing streak, I know Brothers has been good out of the relief appearances, but when you talk about the start and you talk about Will McEntire being on the bump today for the Duluth Huskies, all the momentum is riding, especially here at home for the Duluth Huskies at Wade Stadium, and they're in a really tight battle in the Great Plains East Division with the Eau Claire Express. This is a huge game for the Huskies.
The Huskies play better at home, and they're looking to snap the skid. Lineups and first pitch coming up next. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Watch Northwoods League Baseball on all of your devices, including your home TV. Simply use one of these smart TV systems. Then search for the Northwoods League app in the App Store. Click on it and download it to your system. Then select the game you want to watch, either live or on demand, and enjoy. The Northwoods League app is available on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, or Android TV. For more information, visit northwoodsleague.com.
Yeah. Hey, I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. Another level, we ain't never settle now. Level up, watch me level up.
Catch all the action of America's premier summer collegiate baseball league at northwoodsleague.com. Purchase tickets to a game near you. Support your favorite team and the Northwoods League Foundation with gear and memorabilia from our online store. Watch live television coverage of every game or get the latest news and stats from across the league. Follow America's collegiate players on their journey to the championship and their place in Major League Baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com, your place for everything Northwoods League Baseball.
The Northwoods League Foundation is enriching the quality of life for families with an enduring and caring focus on the communities it serves. Through special events, subscription services, direct donations, and the sale of autographed memorabilia, the Northwoods League Foundation is harnessing a unique passion for summer collegiate baseball and investing in its communities so everyone benefits from the wide-ranging experience offered by the great game of baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com/foundation and share your passion for the game we love.
Catch all the action of America's premier summer collegiate baseball league at northwoodsleague.com. Purchase tickets to a game near you. Support your favorite team and the Northwoods League Foundation with gear and memorabilia from our online store. Watch live television coverage of every game or get the latest news and stats from across the league. Follow America's collegiate players on their journey to the championship and their place in Major League Baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com, your place for everything Northwoods League baseball.
The Northwoods League Foundation is enriching the quality of life for families with an enduring and caring focus on the communities it serves. Through special events, subscription services, direct donations, and the sale of autographed memorabilia, the Northwoods League Foundation is harnessing a unique passion for summer collegiate baseball and investing in its communities so everyone benefits from the wide-ranging experience offered by the great game of baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com/foundation and share your passion for the game we love.
Welcome to historic Frank Wade Municipal Stadium in Duluth, Minnesota for today's game between the visiting Willmar Stingers and your Duluth Huskies. Hello everyone, once again, I'm Adam Cohen and joined alongside me is my good friend and broadcast partner Matthew Hargrove. Matt, the Huskies today come in at 8-9 and just one game back behind the Eau Claire Express, who took sole possession of first place after yesterday's victory.
Yeah, they did, but this is still, in my mind, a must-win game for the Duluth Huskies, a 5-game losing streak that just has to end, especially when you're facing a team like the Willmar Stingers, who are coming into this one playing good in the second half. They're on a 3-game win streak, but 25-28 on the year as we take a look at that Huskies defensive alignment.
And you can see Ryan McDonald in left field, Brill in center, Halverson and right around the horn, Bovee, Brooks, Wojcik making an appearance at second base, Powell at first. Behind the plate is Casey Tutton on the mound is Will McEntire. McDonald making the start in left field, while Charlie Ree is DH, and we haven't really seen that from him.
Yeah, Charlie Ree, he's just been playing a lot of baseball out in left field. Ryan McDonald, he has the capability. And we were talking about in the broadcast yesterday, but Ryan McDonald, for a bigger dude, can run really well. So I'm confident with him out there in the outfield.
He is said by Michael Sarhat to be the best shagger in the outfield during BP. But let's look to our starting pitcher and Will McEntire. The University of Arkansas Razorback has been the Huskies' ace this season, 2.35 ERA, which is the best among starting pitchers. Also has 30 and a third inning pitch. Doesn't someone who blows you by, but you look at that new look changeup that you talked to Marcus Pointer about, that slider as well as off speed when it works for him, makes him such an unbelievable starter.
Most of the time, Will McEntire is going to stick with that fastball sitting in the high 80s, low 90s, and the cutter. But what he did so well is in that last start against Mankato as he pitched backwards, and that's why he was so successful, and we're going to talk about that start against Mankato soon.
Yeah, he was really phenomenal. Den also got to pitch in the All-Star game as well, where he threw a scoreless frame, got to punch out a couple batters, and allowed 3 hits and no runs. Now you can see the lineup for the Stingers. Josh Fitzgerald followed by Cardell Howell, William Hamilton, Grant Carey, Derek Hatman, Brady Hill, Brady Council, Brett Hammett, and Matthew Ink. And now McEntire getting ready for the first pitch, as it looks like the home plate umpire for today's game, and Spencer Kim, is waiting on something. We're not exactly sure quite what. Could be a baseball that made the field. Jeff Osborne at first base and Perry Swartz at third for the umpiring crew. McEntire is ready. The first pitch to Josh Fitzgerald is swung on and missed for the first strike. Fitzgerald comes from Mason City, Iowa, and he also comes from Newman Catholic High School. He's a redshirt freshman at Kirkwood Community College. And additionally, he also is heading over to Dallas Baptist University in the fall, which is a D1 school in Missouri Valley Conference. That ball is skied into medium depth right field. Halverson makes his way underneath and makes the grab for out number 1.
So let's go into the mind of Will McEntire. This was his last start against Mankato, and if you notice, these are all off-speed pitches. All of them were outs, but they came in the beginning of the count, first pitch, and in 2-1 counts. And that is Will McEntire simply pitching backwards. And for a guy that has been dominantly fastball cutter this season, it was very impressive to see him mix it up a little bit against a very impressive Mankato Moondogs offense.
And you talked about going into the mind of Will McEntire. That's probably what he was thinking, that he had to switch things up against one of the better teams in the Northwoods League. Carter Howell pops one up. Right over there is Mike Bovey, who makes the catch for out number 2. I have to imagine that the Sun is really battling against these infielders today.
Yeah, hot day in Duluth, but again, talking about Will McEntire, this is a very top-heavy lineup for the Willmar Stingers, and if you're able to get 2 up, 2 down against very impressive batters in Fitzgerald and Howell, definitely does well for the confidence.
It really does, and as you said, the lineup is unrelenting. Will McEntire now up into the batter's box, one of 4 lefties in the lineup today for Willmar. Takes an off-speed pitch high, 1-0. McEntire comes from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is about 1 hour southwest of Birmingham, and plays for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So once again, we could see the off-speed pitch working for McEntire early in this game.
Doesn't throw that changeup a lot, 4.8% on the year, but it's something in his arsenal that he just added.
And look at that curveball. I think it shook up both the catcher, Tollett, and everyone there.
Yeah, that was definitely a cross-up.
And luckily, the home plate umpire and Spencer Kim still called it for a strike. Sometimes what you'll see is if it's struck over the zone, but the catcher misses his spot, and the pitcher does too, you won't see it called.
You'll see that on a fastball. Typically, if the catcher's setting up outside, it's thrown inside, and all that glove movement makes it look like a ball.
McEntire now looking for his first strikeout of the afternoon, looking for a 1-2-3 inning. Sends a tapper over towards deep at short. Can be a tough play for Brooks, firing on the run, and it gets way offline as Powell has to come up for it. Difficult play for Brooks, as that one should be scored a base hit.
Well, Michael Brooks was shifting on the lefty Hamilton. He was kind of playing up the middle. As you look at the replay, that's in the general spot of where Michael Brooks is usually playing, but ended up making it a tough play, and that's just Will McEntire using the entire field in his A-big.
And we actually saw that yesterday from Hamilton, too,
yes,
when
we
he had
did.
that 2-run homer over the left field fence. And you talked about another player of power, too. Grant Carey has a couple bombs this season and is batting .319. Sizable lead for Hamilton off first base as Carey swings and misses at that changeup. So he's been going to it a lot early, and you said that it was a pitch that doesn't throw all too often.
And talking again about that Stingers lineup and it being top-heavy, those first 5 guys are lethal. Once you get to Dirksen, Dirksen's a good bat, but 7, 8, and 9 really struggled yesterday against Guzman.
And even just looking ahead to some of the later parts in the lineup as well, Brett Hammett, the 8-hitter, is only batting .118. And Matthew Ink, even though it's a small sample size, just 7 games, batting .083.
That's just not going to do it, Adam Cohen.
It really is not. So they're expecting a lot of offense from players such as Grant Carey. He's been doing phenomenally as of late. And strike 3 called on the outside corner. McEntire got helped out by Tollett with a nice frame. You're watching Huskies baseball on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
More than 200 Northwoods League players have advanced to Major League Baseball, including 3-time Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer and World Series champions Ben Zobrist and Chris Sale, as well as Major League Baseball All-Stars Jordan Zimmerman, Curtis Granderson, and the 2019 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby champion Pete Alonso. This is Northwoods League Baseball.
Welcome to a caring community of older adults living safely in the company of others. Welcome to Benedictine Living Community Duluth. Located on the beautiful campus of the St. Scholastica Monastery, Benedictine Living Community Duluth offers a full range of living options and care services to live a full and healthy life. We are proud of our mission to serve our older adults and their families. We are Benedictine. Visit us today. Benedictine Living Community Duluth. Living fully, living well.
Stay connected and up to date on Northwoods League baseball with the free Northwoods League mobile app. Avoid the lines and buy tickets to any of the Northwoods League games at any time, day or night. Subscribe and watch any game live from anywhere all season long. Get the latest news and stats from across the league and follow the best collegiate baseball players in America. Stay connected with the league or personalize it for your favorite team. Either way, we've got you covered. Available now free from the App Store and Google Play.
No score as we head into the bottom of the first inning. Let's get the lineup for the Duluth Huskies. Starting off, Charlie Reed, followed by Michael Brutz, Mike Bovey, Peyton Powell in the 5 spot, Amber Wojcik. Batting 6th, Ryan McDonald. Batting 7th, Calvin Halverson. Batting 8th, Casey Tollett. And in a second start for the Duluth Huskies, Jake Brill rounding things out. And Brill brings a lot of speed to that line at the bottom of the order.
He does, and he's had a great start to his Husky season here in the second half, a lot like other Huskies that have had some pretty notable debuts.
Look at Halverson and Powell in the lineup for starters, but for the Willmar starting pitcher, it's Kellen Brothers, who comes from Oklahoma Wesleyan University, which is a NAIA school located in Bardesville, Oklahoma, about 45 minutes north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. This season so far, 7.36 ERA and 7 1/3 innings of work, but did really well against Bismarck last time, 2 1/3 scoreless. First pitch of Charlie Reed is hit over into right field. My goodness, Matthew Hargrove. He just loves jumping on the first pitch, loves hitting the ball just through the hole on the infield turf.
Yeah, he does, and that's one of the reasons why we've seen that average slowly climb into the 260, 270 area. Now backing up Brothers, that Stingers defensive alignment, we don't have them. I'm very sad that we do not have Lucero in there at shortstop today because he was masterful. And the Stingers, they lead the Northwoods League in errors. That has been their biggest problem.
First pitch in there for a strike to Michael Brooks. And that's pretty surprising, too, because the Huskies, their defense has looked a lot better since the second part of the first half.
It definitely has, particularly talking about Mike Bovey over there at the hot corner.
He did make that error in the Bismarck series, but besides that, it's been flawless defense as Michael Brutz nearly gets hit by a fastball that ran awry.
So Kellen Brothers, he's basically just going to be a fastball curveball guy, and there's a 50-50 shot that he's going to be on with the curveball and off with the curveball, and you see there that sometimes he lets it get out of the hand too much.
And other times you'll see a curveball like that that's just perfectly placed.
No, it's a big 12-6 Uncle Charlie from Brothers, but in that last outing against Bismarck, he got out of a huge bases-loaded jam for the Stingers. Really nice outing out of the bullpen.
Michael Brutz down 1-2 and is able to sky one behind the fence and out of play. And Brooks has been struggling a lot as of late. He's 0 for his last 17. And I think that's why that we have seen Charlie Reed in the leadoff spot and Brooks in the number 2 hole. Manager Marcus Pointer has been trying to switch things up. And Brooks, when he finds one to hit, he is so good for the Huskies. Leads the team with 11 doubles and 3 homers. Brothers taking a lot of time in between pitches, taking careful attention of Charlie Reed off first base. And straight 3 called. Russ wasn't too happy about it, but that one looked really over the heart of the plate. Maybe just a little bit low in his eyes.
No, that was a perfect pitch by Brothers, and why that ERA is so high is because he's been unable to do that. The fastball, when the curveball hasn't been working for him, his fastball he's usually leaving up in the zone. And when you're a one-pitch pitcher throwing the fastball right down the pipe or up in the zone, obviously the outings aren't going to be successful.
First pitch to Mike Bovey misses low in the turf. Bovey coming into this one batting .328 in 48 games played. .328 average, leads the entire team. He also sits in the Northwoods League with 57 hits. But going back to your idea about how he's just a one-pitch pitcher, it just all goes back to the curveball. If it's on, then he's a two-pitch pitcher, which is expected out of relievers, but you can't have only one pitch working if you're a starter.
No, the curveball has to be on, and another thing that Brothers has to do better at is deceiving these Husky hitters this afternoon. First pitch, 80% of the time he's going with a fastball, and then 0-1, 85.7, the off speed.
Rerunning. Good accurate throw to second base. But Ree is in there safely. Not a bad throw. Pretty good one from Hackman. You have to imagine if that one didn't hit the turf, it was on a straight beeline to second base, Ree probably would have been a dead duck.
Well, I think if this ball is held on to a little bit longer by the shortstop, then Charlie Ree is out. Watch his hand, and then he comes off the base for a split second and then has to stay on with that left foot. I think if we look at it a little closer, maybe a different call.
So the Huskies are able to essentially, they could be catching a break right there because we saw the shortstop in ink. He was looking at it and he was saying, he was almost trying to sell it to the umpire at first base in Jeff Osborne, but because he didn't hold on for that extra second, Ree has himself a stolen base and Bovee has another RBI opportunity. So he posts that one through the hole into left field. Going to see a big turn from Charlie Ree. Here comes the throw to the plate. It's up the line. Now Bovee going over towards second. He will get in there safely. Talk about heads-up base running. And now for really the third time in the last 5 games, Mike Bovee has started off the Huskies with an RBI base knock to put them on the board. They're up 1-0.
Not a good throw here by Fitzgerald. You got to hit the cutoff, man. That's why Bovee's able to move up to second. But you like to see the aggressiveness on the base pass early. Charlie Ree with a stolen base and then heading for home, testing the arms of these Stinger outfielders. And for back-to-back afternoons, the Huskies are scoring in the first inning.
And especially the way that Charlie Ree was rounding third base. There was no way that Fitzgerald was going to throw him out the plate. You have to hit your cutoff man at third base at that point, or at least make an accurate throw to home, and that was just way off the line. It was not a good throw at all. And instead, it's Peyton Powell. He had a phenomenal day yesterday as he went 2 for 5, a double and RBI, and he's been a godsend for the Huskies this season. Look at the .309 batting average, 12 RBIs, but he also has reached 14 out of his 15 games played this season.
It's the patience, and we talk about it all the time. There's a lot of Mike Bovee in that Peyton Powell swing.
It almost just seems like there's carbon copies off of one another. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, Peyton Powell is obviously going to pull the ball a little bit more, but why we see that average just above 300 is his capability to go the opposite way and want to go the opposite way.
Lays off the high fastball there, and Matt, you talked about going the opposite way. Well, yesterday, he nearly clubbed one over and out of Wade Stadium. That one just hit the facade of the wall, nearly got out of the ballpark, which you've only seen once in the season by Kimo Fukafuka. At least for the Huskies, that is. Swing and a miss on a 2-seam fastball from Kellen Brothers. And it's interesting because Brothers does not have your conventional fastball. Has that little slight movement. That's probably what got Powell to swing and miss at it.
So Brothers, he doesn't throw out the 2-seam that often, but it worked to perfection that time. Most of the time when we look at this Brothers fastball today, it's going to be rising. And that's one of the reasons probably why he likes to go up in the zone with it.
In steps Amber and Voigt at third lefty in a row for the Huskies. And it's interesting, too, because in this league, even if you throw in the mid-80s, upper 80s, if you throw that fastball high enough, you will get hitters to chase. And the Huskies do also like pairing up these 3 lefties back to back to back. We didn't see that the last few days, and the Huskies have scored 9 runs in the last 3 games. I mean, once again, they had 4 runs the last 2 games as well, and they were both in prime opportunities to win. But it seems like Pointer's trying to switch up the offensive alignment a little bit. Another huge RBI opportunity for Wojtek. So he taps one over towards second. Going to be a difficult play. Flipped on to first and in time. However, the Huskies do score 1 once again by who else? By Barrel Mike, an RBI base knock. The Huskies are up 1-0. You're watching Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Employee-owned City Auto Glass, the experts in auto glass replacement, repair, and recalibration.
This summer, baseball fans and beer lovers unite behind the season's #1 draft pick, 5-Tool Ale. Created for the Northwoods League in honor of the rare and valuable 5-Tool player, this American cream ale is an amazingly drinkable beer. Look for 5-Tool Ale at your local Northwoods League ballpark, all Festival Foods locations in Wisconsin, or visit 5toolale.com. And please, remember to always drink responsibly, designate a driver, and get home safe.
My husband's parents were visiting, and I promised them a home-cooked meal, except my boss had a different idea. He tells me, hold your horses. I call my husband and I say, I'm slammed, and he's like, Quick Trip, and I'm like, bingo. At Quick Trip, I say, what's good tonight? And the Quick Trip guy is like, everything, but I go for the hand-breaded fried chicken, and I go, make that ×4. Being none the wiser, my mother-in-law is like, I always said she's a keeper. I'll run with that.
Quick Trip, we got you covered.
McEntire throws a 0 in the first, and Barrel Mike and the Huskies are able to jump out to an early 1-0 lead. Fourth straight game where the Huskies have struck first with the offense. And they're facing off against a Willmar team that is without their manager, Al Leyva, who was ejected yesterday for arguing balls and strikes. And you usually don't see that type of ejection early on, or from a manager arguing for that type of situation. So instead, it will be Austin Spainauer, who is the field manager for today's game, as Leyva has a 1-game suspension.
Leyva was tossed pretty quickly, but when you're arguing balls and strikes, usually you will go pretty quickly.
First pitch to Derek Hatman is drilled into center field, making his way back and backpedaling as Jake Brill is able to make the catch for out number 1. So a hard hit ball, but also an economical out for McEntire. Just kind of looked like he left that fastball upstairs, and we saw Willmar do this yesterday. They're sometimes at their best when they jump on the first pitch.
Yeah, they were being really aggressive. Will McEntire, when he gets into trouble, it's usually because the fastball is up and he's hanging the curveball, and he's tended to do that sometimes this year.
And if you're going to have a fastball up when you throw in the upper 80s, such as McEntire in this type of league, you better have that fastball higher than high, or else, as Matthew Hargrove said, you're going to get hurt. Brady Hill, the lefty, up at the plate, takes a fastball low and outside. He's someone else who, at the bottom of the order, has been struggling for the Stingers this season, just batting .151 in 27 games played. He was 0 for 1 in his last appearance against the Mud Puppies back on July 23rd.
If this bottom of the lineup for the Stingers can get going, they can have one of the best lineups in the Northwoods League. And, Adam, we were talking about it last inning. We started to get into the conversation of, yeah, there's a ton of – most of the guys in the Northwoods League are going to be throwing upper 80s, and that is really fast for a lot of the hitters in the Northwoods League. We have to remember, this isn't the majors.
And also, a lot of these players as well, they don't go to – D1 schools. They also go to D2, D3 to go to JUCO, so upper 80s is at least normal for them. It might be even on the higher end. McEntire looking for a second strikeout of the afternoon. Goes with a changeup in the turf. That's kind of been his out pitch today, too. Going for it in pitcher-friendly counts.
Upper 80s is going to probably feel like low 90s to some of the Northwoods League hitters.
Payoff pitch, and it's fouled off. And you're right about that, too, especially on a warm day with a lot of sun. On pretty much everyone's eyes as well, that fastball can certainly play up. And you could also believe that McEntire might have an extra mile per hour or two because it's just so warm out. It's 86 degrees and sunny, which is a very hot day in Duluth, Minnesota.
That's why when we see guys like Wogemuth and Hammerberg sitting, 93, 95 on the gun.
A swing and a miss on a hard fastball that was upstairs. That was the higher-than-high fastball that we were talking about, Matt.
Straight fastball from McEntire, but when you have guys like Wogemuth and Hammerberg, and we saw from Jared Souther, 95-mile-per-hour fastball, as we take another look at the four-seamer from McEntire straight over the top. Working backwards again, set it up with the curveball early in the AB.
First pitch to Brady Council was swung on and missed 0-1.
Those guys that are throwing 95, 96 to most hitters in the Northwoods League, that is just too much velocity.
And it's essentially unhittable for them as well. You really look at when Wolgamith and Hammerbert struggle, it's more the walks and the hit by pitches than anything else. It's not usually being from hard hit contact.
And that's why all the time in the broadcast booth, we're always talking about, man, if Wolgamith can find his control just a little bit better, he would be, without a doubt, one of the best relief pitchers in the Northwoods League.
And you looked at the last time as well. He sure gave that 2-run homer, but it was also the 3 walks and 3 hit by pitches that knocked him out. Another good battle that we're seeing from Brady Council here is actually the son of Craig Council, a current Brewers manager who brought the Brew Crew to just 1 game within reaching their first pennant since 1982. So baseball runs in his blood. Can he get the Stingers started in the top of the 2nd inning? Call time.
I would like to see Will McEntire continue to throw that curveball. Council had a lot of trouble with Johnny Baseball slider yesterday.
Does throw a curveball and is a swing and a miss. So Matthew Hargrove calling that pitch, helping out Will McEntire subconsciously. McEntire throws another 0. Huskies still up 1-0. You're watching the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Catch all the action of America's premier summer collegiate baseball league at northwoodsleague.com. Support the Northwoods League Foundation with memorabilia from our online store. Get the latest news and stats on your favorite team, or join over 1 million fans at the ballpark. Just select your favorite team, find the game you want to see, then handpick your seats and print your tickets at home. For tickets 24 hours a day, visit northwoodsleague.com, your instant source for everything Northwoods League baseball.
My wife borrowed my new car while hers was getting serviced. She calls me and she tells me, I just saw Tammy. And I was like, in Waterloo? And she's like, don't worry, I'm getting gas now. And I go, at Quick Trip? You gotta go to Quick Trip. They have the freshest fuel that's fully guaranteed. Anyway, she gasses up at Quick Trip and a Quick Trip employee is like, dang, that pretty red car suits you. And my wife's like, you know, I imagine it does. Thanks, Quick Trip.
Quick Trip, we got you covered.
Greatness doesn't happen under the spotlight. It happens away from it. Just you pushing yourself. Hard, fast, and all out. Every single play. Because this is how the game is played. And it's my time to play. My time to achieve greatness.
Huskies look to tack on a few more, starting off with Ryan McDonald, followed by Calvin Halverson and Kason Tollett. They have a 1-0 lead as Will McEntire is in cruise control so far, only needing 25 pitches to toss 2 zeros on the board against Willmar.
Now, this is a guy in Ryan McDonald who really he's got to get going, and we've seen some spurts the past week of him starting to get out of that slump.
He's someone who will get on base a lot. They look at that 221 average. Well, it's pretty low, but it's all about getting on base for him. He gets on base at a 388 clip and also is hit by a pitch by a team leading 8 times. So it also has added 21 walks to his resume this season as well.
Adam, I think Ryan McDonald is just in the wrong ballpark. He's a power hitter through and through. And obviously playing at Wade Stadium, it's harder to hit home runs. It's probably the hardest ballpark in the Northwoods League to hit the home run ball. And for a guy like McDonald, he thrives in smaller ballparks. I love that he's a Duluth Husky. It's awesome. I've been talking about it for the entire year.
You're his #1 fan.
But I think, absolutely, but I think with most of the games being at Wade Stadium, it definitely hurts his statistics.
McDonald drives that one into the gaps. This could be extra bases and head all the way to the wall. McDonald does have some speed, but he will stop at second base. So Matthew Hargrove, talk about a breakthrough as the Huskies looking to pile it on against Willmar early in the game.
Smart decision here by Ryan McDonald. full count, stays inside the baseball, and drives it the other way. And there's another one of those hits that makes us up here in the broadcast booth start to believe that he's starting to get out of this funk that he's been in over the past month or so.
Especially because he's such a dead red pull hitter as well. So to go the other way on an elevated fastball, that's huge. First pitch to Callan Halverson misses upstairs. Halverson, another player the Huskies would love to get going, batting right at the Mendoza line at 200 this season. However, he has made up for his defense. I know that he ran into Brett Paulson on the road at Bismarck, and Paulson has been out for the last couple of days, but overall, he is a really fantastic defender in right field.
Made a really nice play in yesterday's ball game.
That ball's drilled into the shortstop, and it goes into left field. But Donald had to wait on it, so he will just move up one base. We'll have to see how that one was scored. Because on the turf, everything gets hit harder and will be scored a base hit. So Halverson smoking the ball and is rewarded for his efforts.
Well, it's a hard hit ball, but shortstop's got to make that play. It's right to him. It ended up hitting the glove. And you know that saying in basketball, if the ball hits your hands, it's your ball. And that is the same for on the diamond.
Especially when you consider if he just was able to keep that ball in front of him, he would have had more than enough time to throw at Halverson, even with all his speed, at first base. In steps Cason Tollett, who will be heading over to Arkansas State University in the fall. He's someone else who's been struggling a lot as of late for the Huskies. Batting average crawling to 195, and he's 0 for his last 17. And the last hit he had was actually the home run that he belted in Mankato back on July 12th. He shows bunt. It's up the line. Good drag bunt. And that will get a run. So how about a good way to break off to Schneid, a good way to be productive? Tollett, of all people, bunting over McDonald home and giving the Huskies a 2-0 lead.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is beautiful baseball at its finest. You have a guy who's hitting under 200, and to make himself feel a part of the team, he gets in on the action by doing the small things. An RBI bunt down the first base line, and a similar situation to this, we saw Brett Paulson do that in a ball game 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that got him out of a slump.
In steps Jake Brill, takes an off-speed pitch low and inside. And this is what the Huskies have been doing really well as of late. This is what's changed their offense from the first half to the second half. They've been bunting runners over. They've been having sacrifice flies. They've been striking out less. They've been productive as an entire lineup, even if they're not compiling all too many hits. Brill musters that one into shallow right field. Hamilton will call off counsel and makes the grab for out number 2.
It was frustrating to watch this Duluth Husky lineup in the first half because it was one of the better lineups in the Northwoods League. They would get up to 10 or 11 hits in the ball game, but then you would take a look at the run category on the scoreboard, and it would show 2 or 3. And obviously, that just can't happen if you're going to be a successful ball club. But this team can hit. It was only a matter if they were going to do the small things, and like you said, they're starting to do them here in the second half.
The lineup flips over to Charlie Ree. Takes a fastball for a strike. 0-1. And Ree's been a part of that success as well. He didn't hit too well in the first half. It really came from that July 4th series against the Honkers when he started to light a flame under himself. As that ball is popped up into shallow right field. There to make the catch is Grant Carey to get the third out of the inning. However, the Huskies do pick up one thanks to that sacrifice bunt from Cason Tollett. They're up 2-0 now over the Willmar Stingers through 2 innings of play. You're watching the Duluth Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Do you own a computer, laptop, smartphone, tablet, or smart TV? Of course you do. We all do. With the world we live in today, we rely heavily on our devices. MVTV Wireless Internet understands what it means to you to have an honest, hardworking internet provider. MVTV Wireless is an internet provider with your family in mind. Join the co-op today. Visit MVTVWireless.com. MVTV Wireless Internet, celebrating 20 years of dedicated broadband service to Southwest Minnesota.
Huskies have taken early 2-0 lead thanks to Mike Bovey and Ryan McDonald, two of the best hitters in the Huskies lineup this season. Now the real question is, can they maintain it, as they are trailing by 1 game against the Eau Claire Express in the second half. Of course, not too many games left to play. This is game number 50 of the season. Hard to believe, Matthew Hargrove, and only 18 games left after this one.
It is hard to believe. Duluth still at the top of the Great Plains East Division here in the second half, but this 5-game losing streak, they could be up 2 or 3 games right now. They just haven't taken their opportunities.
Here comes the first pitch to Brett Hammett, the third baseman. Takes a fastball upstairs, and it's interesting too because the Huskies never relinquished first place while they're on their first 4-game losing streak. It was just yesterday when they lost to Willmar. That's when the Eau Claire Express finally were able to break off their schneid and take the sole possession of first place.
I still think the most shocking development in the Great Plains East Division is the Lacrosse Loggers just falling off the map. And it goes back to the second half of the first half. They were right there with Waterloo and then just put together a lot of losses to end that first half that's continuing over into the second.
And it's pretty hard to believe, too, because they were only about 3 to 5 games out for most of the first half. And then they won that horrid losing streak, which actually helped out Duluth as well because they were able to get their first sweep of the season against the Loggers. A ball is hit high into foul ground. Mike Bovey gets a look, and it's out of play.
Looks like a changeup that just, obviously you don't want to be missing there if you're McEntire up in the zone with a changeup. But if you also notice the pitch before on the curveball, it had a tighter break, and McEntire has more of a 12-6. It has a tight break, but it looked kind of like a slider.
That curveball is grounded foul. And I see what you mean with the tight break, too. We saw that again. Just more looking like a slider. It said it's not having that big looping action. Just a little move, a little bit of subtlety to try to get out the hitter.
And that's where he's got to stay. McEntire loves to throw his curveball for a strike, but I'd like to see him get it down in the dirt a little bit more. Beautiful.
And fastball painted off the outside corner. Talk about a sequence, throwing those back-to-back curveballs, setting them out low, and then throwing that fastball low and outside to get the strike 3 call.
Well, he gets the slower pitches and just keeping the hitter off balance, probably thinking another curveball's coming, and lights him up with a near 90-mile-per-hour fastball, and that is painted beautifully. I mean, you can put that in a museum, my goodness.
In steps in the lefty of Matthew Inc. Takes a fastball low and inside, 1-0. Inc on the season, as we said, is 2 for 24, which results in a .083 batting average. See, it's a small dribbler over towards first base. Powell will take it himself for out number 2. So that will end the streak of 3 consecutive strikeouts. But my goodness, McEntire looks as sharp as ever today.
Tonight's game is brought to you in part by 5 Tool Ale, the official beer of the Northwoods League. Look for 5 Tool Ale at select league ballparks or visit 5toolale.com. Remember to drink responsibly, designate a driver, and get home safe.
Now stepping in the batter spots for the Stingers is Josh Fitzgerald, the left fielder who flew out to right his last time up. Said earlier he went to Kirkwood Community College this past season, heading to Dallas Baptist University in the fall. But he had a season of the ages for the Eagles this past season. Yeah, that had 358 in 60 games played, with 17 home runs, 51 RBIs, and 45 walks to tune to 49 strikeouts. As that ball is fisted out and towards shallow right field, there is Ambrin Wojtek to make the catch. And McEntire has his second consecutive 1-2-3, and Huskies still up 2-0. We're watching them on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
This summer, baseball fans and beer lovers unite behind the season's #1 draft pick, 5-Tool Ale. Created for the Northwoods League in honor of the rare and valuable 5-Tool player, this American cream ale is an amazingly drinkable beer. Look for 5-Tool Ale at your local Northwoods League ballpark, all Festival Foods locations in Wisconsin, or visit 5toolale.com. And please, remember to always drink responsibly, designate a driver, and get home safe.
Before Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, or Pete Alonso ever took the field in Major League Baseball, they were taking the field as players in the Northwoods League. Every year, more than 180 Northwoods League players are drafted by Major League Baseball teams. The Northwoods League is the largest organized baseball league in the world. The major leaguers of tomorrow are playing baseball in the Northwoods League today. Get your tickets and gear online, then visit a Northwoods League ballpark near you.
Just 37 pitches is needed for Will McEntire to keep the Stingers off the board and limit them to just one hit in this game so far.
Listen, this is what you would expect the scenario to be heading into the bottom of the third inning. You have all-star Will McEntire, who is throwing a gem right now, and then a guy for the Stingers that's out on the bump with an ERA above 7, and a really good, when top to bottom, you're looking at this Huskies lineup, a really good Huskies lineup, and you expect them to put up a couple of runs in the early going against the tall righty and brothers.
First pitch coming underway to Michael Brutz. He takes it for a strike, 0-1. But this is a thing for the Huskies. We talked about how this is a team that is very good at moving runners over and driving them in. But they're also a team that, coming into this game, batting .248 overall, which is 10th in the Northwoods League, and averages 4.80 runs per game, which is one of the fewest amounts also in the league. So this is a team that, sure, they are up to a 2-0 lead, but they got to add on to the pressure throughout the game, because that's why, or one of the reasons why, they haven't been able to keep winning ball games as of late.
They need to continue to stay aggressive, get this starter out of the ball game here in this third inning, and that's a good start.
Especially with Michael Brooks slumping a little bit, as he has been 0 for his last 18 while getting on any way you can. With the speed he has, too, he does have 10 stolen bases. It's in the bat, so it's not going to hurt his legs. Could be a threat to go.
This game is starting off a lot like we saw in yesterday's ball game. The only difference, or we can't tell right now, but Willmar just would not go away from the Duluth Huskies.
They put on a lot of pressure against Johnny Guzman as Mike Bovee steps up to the plate, adding on to his batting average now, which sits at .331 after that RBI base knock. But we saw a couple of big innings, both against Willmar and against Bismarck in the last couple of games. And it's really against the starter as well. The Huskies had a 4-0 lead against Game 2 in Bismarck, and Ronnie Vauclaud gave up all those runs. In yesterday's game, Guzman had a 3-0 lead, and then he gave up 4 runs. And Huskies was able to tie it by the time he exited. As we do see Brooks run down, stays on the bag, and he is in there with his 11th stolen base of the season. This is exactly the type of aggressiveness you need from the Duluth Huskies to keep yourselves together offensively, Matt.
It's something that they really haven't been doing a lot of in the middle of the summer. And Michael Brooks is going to come off the base just like the Charlie Reese stolen base earlier in the game, but not keeping the tag on this time. I think with the replay, could have gone either way, but that one Brooks got in there.
And it's interesting, too, because this is a team that has played 50 games throughout the season, Brooks and Rhee have both played their fair number of games, but they're still sliding very late in the turf to second base. You have to imagine that they should be thinking they should slide even earlier over towards the bag. I know that's just a small thing to nudge at, but
No, that's how far that we saw it a lot in the beginning of the year when Kyle Westphal and Zach White was here and they were stealing bags left and right, and sometimes they were sliding way past the second base bag.
Ball is drilled into left field. That'll get down for a base hit. And they'll only move up one base. Looks like the left fielder Fitzgerald got the one in quickly. It was only really a one bouncer to him, and he knew it too. His hat fell off as he was running in, trying to prevent the Huskies from scoring their third run, which he successfully did.
Mike Bovee is, I may be a little biased, but Mike Bovee is the best player in the Great Plains East Division. I know we got Garrett McGowan. I know we got Otto Kemp. But being a freshman and doing something like this at his age, it is so special to watch day in and day out.
And he's someone, too, who has so much prowess as well. Bovee did not miss a game at Nebraska-Omaha in his first season. That's ridiculous. You hardly hear about freshmen starting at a D1 school, much less starting every single game at the hot corner. Peyton Powell, the batter, up as he hits that one over towards second, flipped over towards second base. That's all they will get. So Powell continues to help out the Huskies, reaches on the fielder's choice, and Duluth picks up their third run at the ball game.
Well, Council must have learned this play from his father, Craig. This was absolutely disgusting. The glove flip into second base. Give you another look. I mean, that is pretty right there. Wow.
And you're right, his father played a lot of second base, too. His father's also a two-time World Series champion as well.
Yes, he is.
And highly ranked as one of the best fielders of his generation, one of the smartest athletes as well. So the apple does not fall far from the tree. Voits at the batter, up at the plate. Grounded out to second base his last time up.
And Brady Council is doing all of this. He has not yet gotten to the University of Minnesota. Just graduated high school, and he's here getting a lot of playing time in the Northwoods League.
And no, it's surprising, too, the Gophers, or Golden Gophers, I should say, they really like bringing their high school players into Northwoods League because we saw that with Noah DeLuga last year.
It's great competition. Oh, it does a lot for the talent.
And it sets them up for success at the university as well. So that ball is into shallow left field. Fitzgerald is there to make the catch for out number 2. But going back to our point, I mean, the Golden Gophers struggled a lot this season. They're the worst teams in the Big Ten division, so that's probably one of the reasons why they have Council playing here as just a high school senior. They want him to get the early reps and be a contributing starter right off the cuff.
Especially when you're losing Zach Raby to the major leagues.
Yeah, he was a very impressive player in the Northwoods League this season as well. So kudos to him for making up to the base. Donald also has factored into this game as well. Started off the second inning with a double to right field. And honestly, that might be my favorite McDonald hit of the season. Because we haven't really seen him go the other way all too often. And talk about a pick-me-up. Talk about a good way to help get the Huskies on the board too. And a much-needed victory. Brothers now kind of respecting the power of McDonald as well, going with that curveball, pitching from behind.
That is the best pitch that we have seen from Brothers. The scouting report, most of the time when he's behind in the count, he's going to go with the fastball, but 2-0 curveball, you know he's feeling it with the off-speed, throwing that in that count.
And then dialing it back in the fastball inside, too. So he's been pitching a much better this at-bat, a lot more careful, in fact, as well.
And most likely going to go back with the curveball. He's got McDonald all out of sorts, and the way that curveball has been moving definitely would be a good pitch.
Donald's able to fight off the off-speed. And that's really been his weakness this season. When I was on play-by-play with Zach Linfield, he said that he was really struggling with the off-speed. It's a dead red fastball hitter, though, and we already saw that in this afternoon. He's also very good at fouling off pitches. Finds a good fastball to hit. Lays off the curveball. And taking second on the pitch is Peyton Powell. It'll be interesting how to score, but I believe he was running on the pitch, though.
So, brothers, that time it was a changeup, and he's a guy who's mostly going to be throwing fastballs and curveballs. That first outing in a Stinger uniform against the Mud Puppy, he didn't throw a lot of changeups. It was good to see him mix that into McDonald.
Curveball is hit well into the air, but underneath it and making the play is Carter Howell for the third out of the innings. But 3 innings, 3 runs for the Huskies as Powell drives in Brooks with a fielder's choice. They take their lead into the top of the 4th. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Yeah. Hey, I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. Another level. We ain't never settle now. Level up. Watch me level up.
The Northwoods League Foundation is enriching the quality of life for families with an enduring and caring focus on the communities it serves. Through special events, subscription services, direct donations, and the sale of autographed memorabilia, the Northwoods League Foundation is harnessing a unique passion for summer collegiate baseball and investing in its communities so everyone benefits from the wide-ranging experience offered by the great game of baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com/foundation and share your passion for the game we love.
Great customer service is MVTV Wireless Internet in a nutshell. From our exceptional CSRs to our licensed installation and support technicians, MVTV Wireless broadband service is second to none for the past 20 years. Join MVTV Wireless today by calling 320-564-4807. MVTV Wireless Internet celebrating 20 years of dedicated broadband service to Southwest Minnesota.
It's crunch time for McEntire. Know that he has a 3-0 lead. But once again, we've seen over the last couple of days that opposing teams have taken a huge mark, had that one big inning. He'll have to fare through the heart of the order, the big part of the order, the best part of the Stingers lineup, through the second time.
Yeah, you mentioned it the second time. The 4th and 5th inning is going to tell a lot about how the rest of the day is going to go for McEntire, but he's had good break on the curveball, pitching backwards like he did in his start against Mankato, and that fastball, he is the best pitcher in the pitching staff for the Duluth Huskies at painting on the outside corner.
That's how he's gotten a couple of his strikeouts today, especially on the one to Brett Hammond.
Wow. If you can get Carter Howell swinging at a curveball like that, you are doing something special towing the slab.
That ball was crushed into center field, but there is Jake Brill, who'll make the catch for out number 1. And you can just see off the bat there, that ball was hit on a line to the Huskies center fielder. And Carl Howell, as you said, he's probably the best hitter on the team. He leads them in homers, triples, RBIs, hits, walks, stolen bases as well. So to make him 0 for 2 in the day so far, that's phenomenal.
Can do it all, and his defensive prowess, there's a reason he's out there in center field. He's the captain of the outfield, and that changeup was just left a little too high by McEntire there.
Well, Hamilton takes ball 1. Actually, it's there for a strike, so it's 0-1, my mistake. But I feel like in Jake Brill, there's a lot of Kyle Westfall and Zach White in him in terms of speed. He's just able to really range over the ball. So that ball is a high chopper over to second base. Wojtek going to have to be quick, and he's not quick enough. It looked a little lackadaisical on his part, but he also had to range over, essentially had to circle around the ball to make the play.
He definitely thought he had more time. Watch his hands here. They're going to be separated when he catches the baseball, and you definitely want your hands closer together. I don't think he read the bounce well, and it ended up costing the all-star Wojtek.
And Hamilton has speed, too. He has 6 stolen bases and 8 opportunities this season, so a good opportunity for Grant Carey. However, the good thing is for the Huskies is that Carey leads the entire Stingers team in hitting into double plays with 6 on the season. So perfect opportunity
Maybe foreshadowing here, Mr. Cohen.
Could be. And Carey's another one of those really good players for the Stingers. It goes to Northwest Nazarene University. He's a Nighthawk there. It's a D2 school. And this past season, he batted .361 in 45 games started, which led the entire team. He also led the team in homers with 11 and hits with 61. So it's clearly translated to Northwoods League, too.
I would really like to see what this 2021 Stingers team would do if they were in the Great Plains East Division. Obviously, the Great Plains West is a tougher division when you look at the records, but having to play all those games against Mankato and St. Cloud and Duluth, they've had some pretty back-and-forth games with Rochester. Having to play that much talent and sitting just a couple of games under 500, I think they would be a pretty successful team if they were switching divisions.
And Matt, to your point, just looking at the Stingers' record in the Great Plains West Division, they're 9-8, which is last place in their division. That would be first place in the Great Plains East Division. You also look at their overall record on the season as well. They're 25-20. That's very respectable. That'd be second place in Great Plains East.
And only, 4 games back of Waterloo, somewhere in there?
Exactly, but they're 14 games out in the Great Plains West Division. Just these two divisions are so different right now. And we even saw, I believe it was 2 days ago, where every team in the East lost, but every team in the Great Plains West Division won.
They were all yesterday. Going into the ball games yesterday, every single team in the Great Plains East Division had a losing streak of at least 3. I believe it was the Huskies and the Mud Puppies who were on 4-game losing streaks, and all the other teams were on 3, but coming into this series, you see the record from the Stingers, and it definitely is deceiving. This is a good ball club.
And the Huskies are going to essentially play every team for the rest of the way that has a better overall record than them, minus the Lacrosse Loggers. And we'll have to see what these two teams are at by their next series in August 5th and 6th. But they're playing teams that are around 500, and this is the make or break for them. They have to play their best baseball against these types of teams.
And why I say that this is a must-win game for the Duluth Huskies is because you have Mankato coming back to Wade Stadium tomorrow to start a 2-game set.
Runner going on the hit and run, but that ball is just a foot foul of the right field line.
And Mankato, real quick, Mankato has already swept the Huskies here at the Wade, so you can't guarantee the Huskies picking up a win in the next 2 days. So if they lose this game today and then lose the 2 games against Mankato, my oh my, it is not looking good.
And you have to at least get one win when we're throwing out your co-aces in Johnny Guzman and Will McEntire. Of course, they have Peterson going tomorrow, followed by Poole the next day. As that ball is hit foul again. And those are 2 very respectable starters in their own right, but they're not the Huskies' best.
No, they're not, but you definitely, we haven't seen Peterson for a while, and Cameron Poole, his last outing against the Mankato Moondogs a week ago here at Wade Stadium, was one of the better starts that we've seen from a Husky pitcher this year when you take into account how well or how good that Moondogs offense is.
Well, it's over the head of Wojtek, into the gap, into center field. Going all the way to third base is Will McEntire, as Grant Carey works his way off a single in a really well-thought at-bat.
It was, and Will McEntire leaving up the curveball. Really nice swing there. Reminds me of the Ryan McDonald swing we saw earlier. Same count, same situation, and the exact same hit into right center field, only McDonald picked up 2 bases, and that ball ran all the way to the wall.
And this is what we're talking about. This is the inning that McEntire's to get through right now, because starting off with Hackman and the rest of the sluggers in the Stingers lineup, they don't compare to the first 4 hitters. So it's also important that he can get out Derek Hackman in a productive way. Because coming into this game, he's just batting .235, 4 for 17, and 5 games played for the Stingers. He's a catcher, too.
Yeah, he's got a chance to get out of the jam, getting into that bottom of the lineup for the Stingers. He doesn't need to go away with the game plan. And why that is so crucial is because, yes, that was a nice base hit into right center field, but the guy on third right now, he got on because of a Wojcik mistake. So McEntire's game plan is still working, and until we see a lot more hard-hit contact, then you can change it up.
That's just a nasty swing. Just a swing that Hackman probably wants back.
Nasty pitch, nasty swing indeed.
2 different types of nasty there.
Yeah, the swing is not a good nasty.
The pitch, though, high and outside, getting that type of cut.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Beautifully nasty. So Hackman's down 0-2. Be a huge strikeout for McEntire. Tries to go with the same game plan as you were talking about. Misses with the fastball upstairs. Just went a little bit higher than high.
And it's still a competitive pitch because it changes the eye level. Now what you would like to see is that curveball get down below the knees.
Hackman does swing and miss a lot. That ball is hit on a nose into right field. There to make the catch is Halverson. And that will get in the first run of the game for the Stingers. So Hackman does a job. He does put the Stingers on the board. They trail 3-1, but it's still an out for the Huskies. And if you get out of this inning just allowing that 1 run, that's nothing to be ashamed of.
McEntire's going to be kicking himself. It actually looks like a changeup, but he hung it, and he set him up beautifully with the back-to-back high fastballs. You just got to get it lower, and he's going to be upset with himself, but still pitching really well, just the first run. And, I mean, we talk about deja vu. It was 3-1 in the top of the 4th inning of yesterday's ball game.
It was, and Brady Hill takes strike 1. And this is what we're talking about. You can't have a big inning. You can't allow these big innings, which has been happening so often as of late. You have to end it right here. And fortunately for the Huskies, again, 6-9 does not have a lot of talent. Brady Hill just batting .151 on the season so far.
Reared back on that fastball, some extra velocity. And McEntire, it's crucial that he goes at least 6 innings. We were talking about in the pregame show. The bullpen is very thin right now. Hammerberg and Sarhat, they are ready to go, but after that, you just don't know.
And that also means if he goes 6 innings, just 6, you have to ask 2 innings for probably one of them.
Absolutely.
So if he can go even 7 right now, it's just even better. Runner going, good throw. And Tollett nabs him. My goodness. He has such a cannon from behind the plate and helps McEntire get out of the inning. The Stingers do pick up their first run, the Hackman sacrifice fly. The Huskies are still up in this one, 3-1. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
The Salvation Army is more than just a red kettle at Christmas.
It's a warm, healthy meal when my cupboards are bare.
It was a safe place for our family when we didn't have a home.
It's a fun spot to learn teamwork and build character.
It's a community where all are welcome.
When you donate to the Salvation Army, expect change.
The Northwoods League is giving you the opportunity to play NWL Lucky 7 for your shot at $100,000. You can find the NWL Lucky 7 game at northwoodsleague.com under the gaming tab. Answer 7 questions correctly about action in the Northwoods League, and you could win $100,000. The game is free to play.
Thank you, Matt. New pitcher for the Stingers in Jack Blesh. Plays for the St. Thomas Tommies. He's a freshman there. Has a 1.98 ERA and 13 2 innings of work. 15 strikeouts and just 8 walks. Very impressive reliever who's probably going to be asked to go the distance, or at least go and pick up a couple innings for the Stingers.
Brothers not able to go that long, giving up a run in every inning that he pitched. And you're right, looking to get some extension from the righty out of the bullpen. Brothers, the Huskies, Brothers is too easy to see what pitches he's going to throw on the fastball and curveball combination. But I will say that Brothers, his curveball was dancing pretty good today.
In steps in Calvin Halverson to lead off the bottom of the fourth, takes a fastball low. And this is why it seems like Brothers is probably more suited for the pen than the starting role, because you can get away with 2 pitches there. You can even get away with 1 pitch from time to time, as that ball was smoked to third. Nice play by the third baseman Hammett to retire the speedy Halverson.
And that's when Brothers has been at his best this season out of the pen. Both performances before this outing today at the Wade have been scoreless outings.
And yeah, he was not on it today, but his last time up, Brothers that is, had a 2 1/3 scoreless against the Bismarck Lars. In steps Case and Tollett. Help the Huskies get out the top of the fourth. And it's just unfair to other teams. I mean, are you kidding me? With Brian Breckert and Case and Tollett behind the plate, it's just almost an automatic out every single time a runner tries to go against them. So that ball is tapped over to short. And takes his time and retires Tollett for the second out of the inning.
The arms are incredible. Case and Tollett throwing out the runner at second to end the top half of the fourth inning. And Brecker, his average, we saw the average on Tollett below 200. Brecker's just above 200. But Brecker's had some really timely hits this season. And if you just got a little bit more consistency at the plate from those two, it would be a dynamic duo.
Jake Brill loops one into center field, but there to make the play is Carter Howell. So Blesh comes in and retires the side in order. Huskies still up 3-1, however. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
MBTV Wireless, connecting rural Minnesota. Broadband internet throughout our community. Exceptional service built on integrity. Fast, affordable, reliable. Our technical support is simply unbeatable. Exceptional service starts here. MBTV Wireless, connecting rural Minnesota.
Adolphson and Peterson Construction was founded in Minnesota in 1946 and has been building in the Duluth area since 1977. At AP, we build trust, communities, and people, while delivering an exceptional product and client experience. AP's core values reach beyond our approach to delivering quality work to our clients. We are committed to bringing positive and measurable change to the communities in which we live and build. AP is proud to be a part of this amazing community and sponsor the Duluth Huskies.
Stop down and see us in our Duluth office. Go Huskies!
Check it out.
Duck call.
No, it's a Schweet call.
A Schweet call?
Every time I blow it, Schweeters knows I love my truck.
Well, I love my truck. Let me try that.
Sweet!
Sweet call or not, you'll find the best selection, best prices, and best customer service today and every day at Schweeters Chevrolet of Willmar.
Sweet!
Did it work?
I have no idea.
Sweet!
Huskies lead 3-1 entering the fifth. As you can see, Brendan Riley, John Cruzy, and our general manager, Greg Culver, all the Kennel Club. Very awesome to see that Riley and Cruzy are calling the game from the Kennel Club today. quite the view they must have over there.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, but what is John Kuzi doing with the hairstyle today? I'm not sure that was a good option. I'm going to have to talk to him about that after the broadcast. But, yeah, really cool. This is the first time that the radio broadcast is doing it from the Kennel Club. And, yeah, I would imagine that the view is definitely a bit interesting looking at it from down the right field line. But my goodness, John, what are we doing, kid? Hum now.
And you can see just a couple of his hairs are just a little bit parted.
A little bit. We'll have a conversation with them.
Yeah, we love the flow. It just needs to be tightened up just a little bit.
It's beautiful.
But getting back to baseball, Brady Hill will lead off the top of the 5th against Will McEntire. And once again, it's just an understatement about that throw Kaysen Tollett made to end the top of the 4th, because McEntire, that was his longest inning in the 4th. He threw 20 pitches, and this needs to be such a bounce-back inning, because once again, we saw that Hill, Council, Hammond, and Inc., they really struggle as a collective this season.
You know what I think is the craziest thing to watch in the game of baseball today, and you see it a lot in the major leagues, is that there are not a ton of great hitting catchers around baseball, really at any level. And, yeah, you can point to the Buster Posies of the world, but it's not like you go up and down every ball club. I would say that 20 out of the 30 major league teams, the catchers have averages around the 230 area.
That doesn't even include the backup catchers as well. That's mostly the starting catchers. So fastball just misses upstairs. So it hit the spot, but just a little bit outside and upstairs.
But even here in the Northwoods League, we see the same thing. Eau Claire Express All-Star and Connor Burns. His average is around 200. He was an All-Star.
The ball is hit hard in the center field. Brill making a play on it, and he's just smooth as butter out there.
Yeah, he is. Makes it look so easy. That ball got all the way out to the track, and he ended up having to camp under it, just showing off that speed.
And this is why he reminds me of Kyle Westphal and Zach White so much, because
definitely
you don't have to worry about anything, really, when it gets
especially
hit to him.
Kyle Westphal in the outfield. Kyle Westphal had some fly balls, line drives into the gaps, and just like that one, he would end up shuffling his feet and getting under it, not on the run play.
Brady Council swings and misses at the first pitch. And we've said it all season long, too, Matt. The Huskies are just blessed with phenomenal fielding outfielders. You even look at Amber and Wojcik, who originally started out the season at second base, converting mostly over to center field, and he's been flawless out there, perfect 1,000 fielding percentage.
A guy that's not out there in the outfield today, Charlie Ree, has done a really good job in the outfield. Fuka. Wow.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to Brady Council. You can add that to your resume, striking out the son of Craig Council, but more importantly, getting those 2 quick outs already much better than he fared last inning.
Well, in the words of Adam Cohen, that was beautifully nasty. Right on the outside corner, had some good spin. And this is incredible what we're seeing in this inning specifically from McEntire. He gives up the run in the 4th, but just looking absolutely unfazed here in the 5th.
And it's just a good mix of pitches, too. We've seen the slider, we've seen the changeup, we've seen the fastball up and away. That last strikeout was on the cutter. And that's supposed to be his primary pitch, but he hasn't thrown as often today. 102 Brett Hammett, and once again, it's just give me that cutter outside.
Just has so much, and so much spin, what I was going to say. And what I'd really like to see Will McEntire start to do is when he's facing a lefty, try to backdoor him. We've seen a lot of times to righties he goes away, and that's been working, but with that movement on the outside, if he's able to do a better job of backdooring hitters when he's facing lefties, which he hasn't really had a ton of that opportunity.
Sit strikeout of the day for Will McEntire. Bounce back, 1, 2, 3 inning. The Huskies maintain their 3-1 lead as we head into the bottom of the 5th. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
More than 200 Northwoods League players have advanced to Major League Baseball, including 3-time Cy Young Award winner Max Scherzer, and World Series champions Ben Zobrist and Chris Sale, as well as Major League Baseball All-Stars Jordan Zimmerman, Curtis Granderson, and the 2019 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby champion Pete Alonso.
This is Northwoods League Baseball.
Welcome to a caring community of older adults living safely in the company of others. Welcome to Benedictine Living Community Duluth. Located on the beautiful campus of the St. Scholastica Monastery, Benedictine Living Community Duluth offers a full range of living options and care services to live a full and healthy life. We are proud of our mission to serve our older adults and their families. We are Benedictine. Visit us today. Benedictine Living Community Duluth. Living fully, living well.
Stay connected and up to date on Northwoods League Baseball with the free Northwoods League mobile app. Void the lines and buy tickets to any of the Northwoods League games at any time, day or night. Subscribe and watch any game live from anywhere all season long. Get the latest news and stats from across the league and follow the best collegiate baseball players in America. Stay connected with the league or personalize it for your favorite team. Either way, we've got you covered. Available now free from the App Store and Google Play.
Top of the order due up for the Huskies and Charlie Ree, Michael Brooks, and barrel Mike Bovey. So Huskies are in cruise control in this one by a score of 3-1. But still, they can't leave off the gas off the pedal because they need to keep on scoring these insurance runs, keep making sure that McEntire can pitch with ease.
Like I said earlier, this game is looking a lot like yesterday, and the Stingers ended up having that big 7-run seventh.
Charlie Reed takes ball one. And as we've been saying before, there's a lot of similarities, and that's another reason why the offense needs to continue to stay with it. And they haven't been bad over the last 2 days especially. They've been pretty much what you expect of the Huskies, moving runners over on the sacrifice fly, the sacrifice bunts, but it has to be there every single inning.
Adam, we were talking off camera, talking about yesterday's performance with the bats. 4 runs and 8 hits. Most of the time, that's going to win you a good amount of ball games, but you can't have the walks. You can't have the 7 walks in 1 inning. You're just not going to win that way, period.
And yesterday, too, it was just getting ridiculous towards the end. They had 10 walks on the day and 3 hit by pitches. And the sad thing is, this has been happening to the Huskies for a lot this season. It was mostly in the first half, but the fact that's happened over 15 times, that's too much.
And the reason why it's frustrating is because all around, this is a good ball club. You take the walks, you take the mental errors away from this season. The Duluth Huskies are probably right up there in the Great Plains East Division with the Waterloo Bucks. I'm not saying they would be above the Waterloo Bucks because they had a sensational first half.
Charlie Reed doing a job, working himself a leadoff walk, and he's been really good getting on base as of late. He's been on base now for 11 straight games, entering this one, having a .432 on-base percentage in those previous 10 games.
We've been talking about him the entire broadcast. He has just been on fire, and he's been one of the main keys of why the Huskies have, at the end of the day, had a successful second half.
And steps Michael Brooks, takes a ball outside. And we said this earlier on, but it's been really just switching off between Brooks and Ree in the leadoff hole. If Brooks is over and Ree's toward pace that he's on right now, it makes sense to have this type of lineup.
I know the Huskies are on a 5-game losing streak, but to be in first place right now in the Great Plains East Division, I know they're under 500 in the second half, but you still have to look at that as a win for them.
Tapper to shortstop. Nice play for Even Eng to get a glove on it, but was unable to make the throw. Once again, this turf will just make the balls really climb up, as here comes Mike Bovey up to the plate. 2 for 2 on the day so far with an RBI. Just another day at the office for him.
It really is, and sticking to his guns, both of those singles going to the left side. Mike Bovey always looking to go that way, and man, average just keeps climbing, getting better and better. 335 now.
It's a couple men on base for him. Ree off second, Brutz off first. Takes a fastball for strike one, and it should be noted that with that base hit from Michael Brutz, he snaps an 0 for 18 streak. So good for him to break out of the slump, and perfect timing too, because Bovey especially has been going to left field a lot in this series.
In Brooks's last plate appearance, he ended up getting hit by a pitch, and I know it's not the biggest thing in the world, but just seeing yourself finally get back on base does wonders, fills up the confidence, and it led to that eventual single. That is where you have to pitch Mike Bovey right there, inside. Fastballs that are outside on the corner, usually, most of the time, it's a great pitch, not to the great hitting Mike Bovey.
He'll just take it the other way. He does not care. He'll take as many singles as you give him and keep moving this Huskies lineup station to station. And then there's takes like those too. That's right in his wheelhouse, just a ball off the plate. He can easily probably smoke that ball the other way, but being patient, doesn't want to run into any outs.
A lot of fastballs in this AB. Now is probably the perfect time for some off-speed action from the righty.
Bovey will foul it off. So Blesh has been a bit of a mixed bat so far. He came in and got out the Huskies on 5 pitches in the fourth and retired them in order. This inning, too, he's had to labor against Brooks and now especially Bovey. So this is probably his biggest at-bat so far. He needs to find a way to help the Stingers to get Barrel Mike out. A very difficult feat. And he does on the inside fastball. Bovey doesn't like it, probably thought it was a little bit low. But that's exactly where you want to pitch him. You want to pitch him just off the corners, just low. Even try to attack him inside, because anything away, he'll crush you for it.
Bovey's not going to like the call, but we saw 2 pitches on the corners call for strikes. I mean, that's right there. You got to be swinging. That's too close to take. Couldn't have put it in a better spot.
So 1 away now for the Huskies as Peyton Powell comes up to the plate. An RBI fielder's choice back in the third. As he smokes that ball into center field on his horses, Charlie Ree. They have to be held up. A nice strong throw from Carter Howell right to the cutoff man and carry. Puts the Huskies up just 90 feet. But still, Powell, he's really coming to his own. He missed about a week because of a staph infection. His return to the Huskies looking as sharp as ever.
Well, Charlie Ree should have scored on this baseball. I know you want to be careful, but yeah, it was kind of close to the second baseman council, but at the end of the day, you can probably look at it and see it as a successful base running by Charlie Ree. I'm just being a little too nitpicky.
Here comes the first pitch to Ambrin Wojcik, who swings and misses at the changeup 0-1.
This is the guy you want up right now. Your all-star bases loaded. The ball in the gap can start to put this game away already in the 5th with McEntire still on the bump.
And not only would a base hit here, of course, help the Huskies out, could score 2 with Ree's speed off third and Brooks' speed off second, but there's also a lot of pride going here for Wojcik, who's just fallen behind the 300 threshold. And that is something we have not seen from him this season. It's been a little bit of a tough second half for him. He's had 6 offers and 4 multi-hit games. The offers are more surprising. You don't see a lot of those from him, especially in that first half. And that ball is drilled deep right field, and it'll go over the head. It'll split the outfielders. 1 run scores. Here comes the second run. And now it looks like the Huskies might be in trouble. They're going to try to get Wojcik back at second, and they do. Wojcik assumed that Peyton Powell was going to come all the way over to score. And by the time that Wojcik noticed that Powell was going back to third, Wojcik had to run back to second, and he was a dead duck.
So another base running mistake by the Duluth Huskies, but this might be on the third base coach, Jeff Chaperon. He might have put the late hold on Mike Bovey, and Ambrin Wojcik didn't pick it up in time. But then again, Wojcik may have not saw the sign. Very confusing play there for the Huskies.
Comes the first pitch to Ryan McDonald. It's called for a strike. 0-1. And if this is on Chaperon, you have to both look at the runner coming in third and Powell and also realize where Wojcik is too. And I know that's difficult because you have to look at two things at once, two players at once, two moving objects as well. But you have to make that quick decision.
Just got to be a little earlier on the call. And again, we're just having a discussion about it. We're not 100% sure if it was Jeff Chaperon. We didn't have the replay on it. But we have seen many base running mistakes over at that third base bag this season from the Huskies. A lot of curveballs in this AB to McDonald.
And that's the thing. The Huskies, they don't need to be perfect, but they can't make those types of mistakes. They still have a 4-run lead, but they got to be careful. As McDonald is down on strikes. But the Huskies pick up 2 as Amber and Wojcik climbing back over 300, notching a pair of RBIs. The Huskies are up 5-1. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Employee-owned City Auto Glass, the experts in auto glass replacement, repair, and recalibration.
This summer, baseball fans and beer lovers unite behind the season's #1 draft pick, 5-Tool Ale. Created for the Northwoods League in honor of the rare and valuable 5-Tool player, this American cream ale is an amazingly drinkable beer. Look for 5-Tool Ale at your local Northwoods League ballpark, all Festival Foods locations in Wisconsin, or visit 5toolale.com. And please, remember to always drink responsibly, designate a driver, and get home safe.
My husband's parents were visiting, and I promised them a home-cooked meal, except my boss had a different idea. He tells me, hold your horses. I call my husband and I say, I'm slammed, and he's like, Quick Trip, and I'm like, bingo. At Quick Trip, I say, what's good tonight? And the Quick Trip guy is like, everything, but I go for the hand-breaded fried chicken, and I go, make that ×4. Being none the wiser, my mother-in-law is like, I always said she's a keeper. I'll run with that.
Quick Trip, we got you covered.
See the Huskies dugout right now. Huskies may be up 5-1, but that base running miscue could be by the call of Jeff Chaperon, it could be the call of Amber and Wojcik and Peyton Powell. They missed an opportunity to score more runs, but they are giving Will McEntire a comfortable 4-run lead as they enter the 6th inning.
Again, we don't have the replay, so we can't say it was either Chaperon's fault or Wojcik's fault, but Duluth, Wojcik, a big-time 2 RBI double. The Huskies 5-1. This is what we didn't see in yesterday's loss. When they got up 3-1, they just couldn't put the stingers away, and that Wojcik double definitely helps get to that probability.
It just makes things easier for McEntire, so we'll face off against Matthew Inc. Start off the frame. Ain't showing bunt, but we'll have to go back once again. Inc. does have some speed. For the St. Thomas Tommies this season, he had 12 stolen bases out of 15 opportunities, and that was tied for third on the team. He played in every single game, all 47 of them.
We saw 2 pitchers in yesterday's game from the same school. Talking about the starter and Duke Coburn.
Inc. is a Minnesota native as well, comes from Edina, which is about 15 minutes southwest of Minneapolis. And also his school, the University of St. Thomas, is located in St. Paul, which actually went to the D3 World Series, but lost in the championship series to Salisbury. 1-2. Straight 3 called off the outside corner. Another painted fastball by Will McEntire, picking up his 7th strikeout of the afternoon.
So here's the thing. When you're dealing like Will McEntire, that strike zone is going to expand. You're going to start getting some favorable calls, and that is a strike the way that McEntire has been pitching this afternoon. But that fastball, again, like Mankato, doing kind of the same things to this really good Stingers lineup.
First pitch to Josh Fitzgerald misses outside, 1-0. And it's really interesting as well because McEntire, as we said, he's not really a strikeout pitcher, but he has just been locating today and missing in all his pitches. And usually see a more fastball, cutter, slider of the occasional changeup, but it's just been everything today. We've seen the whole kitchen sink, and it's been really fun to watch.
If he gets strikeouts, that's great, but his bread and butter is getting soft contact, ground outs, pop flies, and that's what he uses at Arkansas. That's how you're going to be just successful in SEC because McEntire, we've been talking about in the broadcast, the velocity is good, but it's not great. And when you're facing SEC hitters, 89, 90, 91 mile per hour fastballs are not that amazing to the eye of the SEC hitter. So when you're throwing that low in velocity to that caliber of hitting, you got to rely on your spotting with the fastball and the curveball, and Will McEntire is almost perfect at that.
First pitch to Cardell Howell is in there for a strike. Although Fitzgerald was the first Stingers hitter to reach on a base on balls, McEntire still in the driver's seat in today's ball game.
Wow.
Look at that changeup. And it's not even fair at this point. He's just getting so many beautifully nasty swing and misses.
Absolutely, and this is the second time that we've seen Carter Howell way out in front of one of those off-speed pitches from McEntire. Probably got to go back to it.
Looking for his 8th strikeout. Runner going. It's a hit on run. There is Callan Halverson. He'll make the grab for the second out. So that's one way to avoid a hit or run. Just get that easy pop out. Still have a day going for Mr. McEntire. And again, he's facing through the heart of the order. This is where he got hurt last time. He got hurt against Hamter and Carey. He's kept Howell, though, off the books for 3 straight times, which is a very incredible feat. You don't really see that against him in the Northwoods League.
That's something that Duluth was unable to do yesterday. Had a couple of hits in that ball game.
Right and left matchup as Hamter takes a ball low.
Something that the Huskies have done really well in this series is keep Fitzgerald off the base pass. He's had an incredible start to his Stingers season, which has mostly come in the second half.
And you look at his numbers, too. Fitzgerald with the walk, as Huskies are unable to get Fitzgerald taking second base, but more to the point, he's reached base in all 12 games he's been in this season. And coming in today's game, leads the entire Stingers team with a .481 on-base percentage.
His first 10 games with the Stingers, 5 of them multi-hit games.
Ball is hit hard and through into right field. This will score a run and will be extra bases for Hamter as he continues to hit hard against the Huskies and slips on his way to second base. Seen a lot of slip-ups, but Hamter is just, as we said, he's been doing really well. 3 hits tonight and also hit a 2-run homer yesterday as well.
McEntire tried to get back into that strike zone after falling behind on Hamter, and he just left it right in the breadbasket, about chest high, belt high, and Hamter, you're right, Adam, he's been killing the Huskies this entire series, continues to do it here in the 6th.
Will now face off against Grant Carey, who's 1 for 2 on the day against him, and once again he starts him off with the changeup, and Carey foul tips into the glove. And it's interesting to think of this in this type of manner, because if McEntire can get out Carey, then he has himself the bottom part of the order, which with the exception of Derek Hackman has not done anything against him today. And with that in mind, Matthew Hargrove, would you put him out for a 7th inning?
Yeah, I would. The pitch count is sitting at 85, and the bullpen, like we've been talking about, is very thin. Middle of the season, it is getting closer to playoff time.
Straight three called off the outside corner. Pure paint from McEntire as he points over towards his outfield. He's fired up. We're fired up. And the Huskies take their 5-2 lead into the bottom of the sixth inning. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Catch all the action of America's premier summer collegiate baseball league at northwoodsleague.com. Support the Northwoods League Foundation with memorabilia from our online store. Get the latest news and stats on your favorite team. Or join over 1 million fans at the ballpark. Just select your favorite team, find the game you want to see, then handpick your seats and print your tickets at home. For tickets 24 hours a day, visit northwoodsleague.com, your instant source for everything Northwoods League baseball.
My wife borrowed my new car while hers is getting serviced. She calls me and she tells me, I just saw Tammy. And I was like, in Waterloo? And she's like, don't worry, I'm getting gas now. And I go, at Quick Trip? You gotta go to Quick Trip. They have the freshest fuel that's fully guaranteed. Anyway, she gasses up at Quick Trip and a Quick Trip employee is like, dang, that pretty red car suits you. And my wife's like, you know, I imagine it does. Thanks, Quick Trip.
Quick Trip, we got you covered.
Greatness doesn't happen under the spotlight. It happens away from it. Just you pushing yourself. Hard, fast, and all out. Every single play. Because this is how the game is played. And it's my time to play. My time to achieve greatness.
Beautiful scene at the bridge and a beautiful day in Duluth, Minnesota. And have yourself a day, Duluth Huskies. They're up 5-2. Will McEntire is dealing. And the Stingers once again go back to the bullpen of John Mockerman. This season so far, he has a 3.27 ERA and 11 innings of work, 12 strikeouts to 13 walks. So he'll be facing off against the bottom part of the order, but they can do some damage. They have some speed in Halverson and Brill especially. So if all those walks, you have to imagine that they can get their wheels on the base paths and continue to add on to the lead.
The Stingers have been bringing out their heart of the bullpen this afternoon against the Duluth Huskies. The last two appearances from Mockerman, going back to July 13th and July 18th, they haven't been great. Against the Express on July 13th, 3 innings, gave up 1 run, but he walked 4. And then against the Larks on July 18th, he walked 5 in an inning and 2/3, allowed 3 runs. Yeah, the walks are a big problem. 13 and 11 innings, but the walks, the brunt of the walks, have came in his last 2 outings. Before that, he was sensational.
And really, before those 2 outings, he didn't give up an earned run either.
No, he didn't.
Which is ridiculous. Again, this is a Northwoods League. This is a league that is more favorable towards the hitters, where pitchers haven't pitched in a little while. They usually struggle out the gate, but it's been the opposite effect for Mockerman.
Been in a little bit of a pitcher slump, you could say. Yeah, first 4 outings, zeros across the board. And you look at the walk numbers, I mean, they're okay. You got 2 innings, July 10th against the Larks. He had 2 walks, a walk per inning. But still able to put up a 0 on the scoreboard. That's all that matters.
And the lefty, who rocks a couple times pitching from the stretch, will face off against Callan Halverson, who takes ball 1. Halverson on the day so far, he's 1 for 2 of a single to left field and a ground out to third base. Halverson has quite the year, both with the Huskies. He's shown off the glove, but also with his school at Northern Oklahoma Enid. In 56 games played, he batted .348, led the team in doubles of 18. He tied in triples of Amber and Wojtek with 4 triples, and also led the team with 19 homers and 70 RBIs. So that ball is drilled into left field and will dunk in front of the left fielder Fitzgerald. So Halverson getting a multi-hit day. We haven't seen that for him in quite some time.
Halverson, I know the average is low, but it has been a great pickup for the Duluth Huskies because you have to factor in the defense as well and the leadership. Amber and Wojtek is the leader of this Duluth Huskies team, and if he's asking the Duluth Huskies to bring in a specific dude, you know the guy is going to be special coming from a talent like Wojtek. So the Halverson pickup to this day, has been a good one for the Huskies.
Kaysen Tollett up at the plate now, but going back to Halverson, it was very tough, and it still is difficult to decide who was the better hitter between Wojtek and Halverson back at Northern Oklahoma Enid. And you look at Wojtek, who got an offer from Grand Canyon University, is going there in the fall. You have to imagine that Halverson is also starting to field some D1 offers and could go to a D1 university probably by next year.
Both of them have a lot of pop, and we haven't been able to see that a lot in their time in a Husky uniform because with being at Wade Stadium, a lot of their games being at Wade Stadium. But Halverson, 17 home runs this past year in 2021, and Amber and Wojtek had a good amount of home runs as well.
So that ball is fisted out and towards the left field. There to make the sliding grab is Fitzgerald, losing his hat in the process. We've seen that a couple of times from him today. But you also have to wonder, is that more the turf or more just he felt like the ball was sinking and he had to make a play?
I think it's a little bit of both. Turf is definitely a factor, but that ball coming down, just seeing it all the way into the glove. See there, hat falling off. Much needed out.
Good pick-me-up for Mockerman, a good bounce-back batter. As Jake Brill steps up to the plate. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Couple of fly balls, one to right, one to center.
Mockerman's got a lot of arm side tail on that fastball, as we usually see with lefties.
Not a bad pickoff move either. He's someone who rots a couple of times and looked like he was going to the plate, but instead kind of had that 90-degree angle right over to first.
Has a very unordinary delivery, kind of three-quarter release on the pitch.
He also kind of looks a bit closed off, too, so it's a lot of deception, especially against the lefties in the order. I mean, if he's able to go multiple innings, this could be a really good pitcher against those of the likes of Mike Bovee, Peyton Powell, and Amber Wojtek.
Well, if he stays in this ball game for long, it's going to be hard to stay aggressive on the base pass against him. Watch this pitch right here. It is a short leg lift, and he is quick to the plate, and that definitely helps. You control the base pass, but I like when the lefties have a longer leg lift. I think it helps them be more deceiving on their pickoff move. Easier to tell when you have a quicker release to home plate on the pickoff move.
So essentially it's kind of like in give and take. He doesn't have that longer leg kick, but he goes to the plate faster than a lot of his lefty counterparts.
And we've seen a lot of guys. You can talk about the Duluth Huskies pitching staff. We've seen a lot of guys, because of the long leg lift, there's a lot of stolen bases off of them. We saw it yesterday with Johnny Guzman. Johnny, though, was doing a really good job of controlling the base pass, but for the entire year, overall, that's been one of the problems for Guzman.
And allowing stolen bases, it's really between the pitcher and the catcher. Everyone always blames the catcher for it, but if you have a very slow move to the plate, you're going to allow a lot of stolen bases.
You usually see a lot of stolen bases off of relief pitchers.
So that one is fouled straight back.
Relief guys are, I feel like most of the time starters worry about a lot more things, but relief pitchers, I feel like they have one mindset, and that's just to get outs. When they get a runner on, they're not really thinking about them. They're just thinking about their pitch at the plate.
Additionally, relievers do throw harder overall as a whole, so they're kind of more focused about blowing by hitters. Easy pop-up on the infield, but who's going to catch it? It'll be the third baseman and Brett Hammett to get the second out of the inning. Kind of interesting to see that we saw Mockerman not really leave the mound. Usually you run away as a pitcher, but he was right there almost ready to get the fly ball that was near him.
And it was key that Mockerman did stay in that area because as a pitcher or as a coaching staff, really, you would obviously like to have your infielders make the play on fly balls near the bump, but for Mockerman, you have to stay there until someone calls you off.
And also, everyone's converging at that point, too. So you don't want to run into anyone if you're trying to get out of the way.
Well, we've seen in the past that sometimes pitchers just rely too much on their infielders to make the play. They'll see the ball go in the air, and they just immediately get out of the way. But you got to stay there.
1-0 to Charlie Ree. Misses in the turf. Good block by Hackman. 2-0. Hackman, a big catcher behind the plate. Someone who's allowed a couple of stolen bases today, but good at blocking baseballs. Typical catcher frame at 6'1", 220 pounds. It's Charlie Ree once again. It just seems like every single time he's up ahead in the count in this game. Really in this series, too.
Well, that was a fastball. That was close to the strike zone, up and in. Not a bad pitch from Mockerman, but Charlie Ree maybe swinging at that in the first half, not in the second.
Watts on 4 straight pitches. And that's helpful for the Huskies as well. Because now you get Halverson back on second. He wasn't really getting too big of a read against Mockerman off first base. His lead was very short, which is strange to see from him. He was only a couple steps off the bag. Now at second base, he can put himself in a much bigger secondary lead. And especially lefties, too, you don't really see them have too many pickoffs moves over towards second.
And that's because Mockerman is very close. He's very quick to the plate. It's hard to get a read on him. Michael Brooks, this is the guy that has to come through and do something with Bovee waiting in the on-deck circle. And Bovee definitely obviously has the capability of, say, if Brooks got walked, bases loaded, Bovee has the capability of driving in a couple of runs, but you don't want that lefty-lefty matchup. You want Brooks to get the job done here when you got the righty-lefty.
The ball hit over the head, splits the outfielders and is hit into the gap. 1 run comes to score. Here comes the second run. And it will be no throw to the plate. A 2-run double for Michael Brooks. Puts the Huskies ahead 7-2. It's his 12th double of the season. And Matthew Hargrove, Michael Brooks has officially broken out the snide and having himself a great game.
And it's good to see that he gets out of this slump on a beautifully placed fastball. That was right at the knees, and Michael Brooks stayed on it, eyes on it, and he hit that ball hard into the left center field gap. Duluth staying aggressive. This is what we were talking about.
We will see a mound visit as Josh Tykrow coming out over towards the bump, talking over with his pitcher. There is a right-handed arm warming up in the pen, but you have to imagine they want to stick with the lefty here as they'll face off against Mike Bovee.
I do think that because of that 2 RBI double by Michael Brooks, that it increases the chances of us not seeing Will McEntire go back out onto the bump because of that margin, that lead for the Huskies increasing, and you have a lot more room to work with. But even with it being 7-2, we've seen a lot of comebacks on this Huskies team. You just cannot take anything for granted. And if I'm Marcus Pointer, with Will McEntire sitting at 85, 86 pitches, I still think you got to bring him out there for the 7th. You don't have to go to him for the full 7th inning, but right when he starts to get around that 100-pitch mark, that's when you can bring him out.
No one warming up in the bullpen for the Skis. Mike Bovee steps to plate and takes a first pitch fastball off the outside corner, 0-1. So Bovee, 2 for 3 today. Couple of singles to left field. And also a struck out looking. Another RBI opportunity for him. He leads the team in ribbies. So that ball was fisted right to the second baseman, and Brady counts on that. Will do it for the inning for the Huskies. But once again, the Huskies pick up 2 on a 2-run double, this time off the bat from Michael Brooks. They have a 7-2 lead. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
computer, laptop, smartphone, tablet, or smart TV? Of course you do. We all do. With the world we live in today, we rely heavily on our devices. MVTV Wireless Internet understands what it means to you to have an honest, hardworking internet provider. MVTV Wireless is an internet provider with your family in mind. Join the co-op today. Visit MVTVWireless.com. MVTV Wireless Internet, celebrating 20 years of dedicated broadband service to Southwest Minnesota.
Tonight's game is brought to you in part by 5 Tool Ale, the official beer of the Northwoods League. Look for 5 Tool Ale at select league ballparks or visit 5toolale.com. Remember to drink responsibly, designate a driver, and get home safe.
Thank you, Matt. Very warm day at Wade Stadium. And McEntire's back out there for his 7th inning of work so far. He's been amazing. 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs. Both of them earned 1 walk and 8 strikeouts just on 86 pitches. There is a reliever warming up in the pen for the Huskies. Might be going a couple batters in with him. He might not finish the inning, but that is certainly the hope. We have not seen him go 7 strong in the entire season for him, but has an opportunity to do so tonight. Facing off against Derek Hackman. Throws in a first pitch curveball for strike one. Hackman on the day so far, 0 for 1. The line out to center field, back in the second. A sacrifice fly to right, back in the fourth. McEntire picking up where he left off, quickly ahead 0-2.
I love this decision by Marcus Pointer to bring out Will McEntire, getting closer to the playoffs. These are must-win games. This is a must-win game today for the Huskies. And you have to get everything out of your ace. Will McEntire obviously still has some stuff left in the tank. 86 pitches coming into this inning.
Lifted into center field. Who's going to make the play? And it's going to be the center fielder in Jake Brill. He collides with Ryan McDonald, but Brill is able to hang on to it. We have seen a lot of collisions as of late. There needs to be better communication from the outfielders in Duluth.
Well, Brill's going to be smiling about it. I can't really tell from the replay. You can't see if anybody was calling anybody off, but that is a big out for Will McEntire. You also have to imagine that he's going to stay aggressive in this 7th inning because he wants to get through it before getting to that 100-pitch mark.
First pitch misses low to Brady Hill. And, of course, if you reach that 100-pitch threshold, you can't come out for another inning. So if he's able to stay underneath it, then he has up to 110 pitches to work with. So that is something to watch out for. As that fastball misses high, McEntire now is at 92 pitches. So Northwoods League trying to take care of their pitchers, trying to make sure they don't overextend themselves. Now he's been missing upstairs the fastball on 3 straight pitches. Not a good way to try to limit the count, but he has had Brady Hill's numbers today. Hill has been 0 for 2 with a strikeout swinging and a fly out to center field.
He's just take something off the fastball, find the strike zone, let him hit it. A curveball there. A little cut action.
You know you're having a great day on the mound when you're up 3-0 and against a weak hitter, and you just dunk in the curveball. Maybe you just
and you're not going with the fastball.
Goes to another off-speed pitch. Callan Haverson barely has to move. It'll be underneath it for the second out. Talk about a bounce back at bat. Behind the count 3-1. He's feeling out the curveball, throws it in for a strike. Then he hangs one, but is able to get the out anyway. 2
quick outs. This is starting to turn into maybe arguably the best outing of the season for Will McEntire.
Well, it is his longest, and I would argue that, yes, this is his biggest outing yet.
Just given the situation, too.
Mm-hmm. And Simpson Brady Council, who fouls one off.
And this is why Will McEntire is the ace. The Huskies come into this one with a 5-game losing streak. You have to have a pitching performance like this to get you out of the funk, and Will McEntire is the guy to do it.
And the cutter is there for a strike, much to the dismay of the Stingers dugout, who is screaming at home plate umpire Spencer Kim. Now he's staring them down. It's been an understatement to say that the Stingers have not been happy with Kim, and now he's really giving them the talking to, putting up the stop sign against them. Now he's making a note in his book, too. So it's been a...
Wonder if there was a warning issue to the Willmar dugout.
We have to remember that field manager Al Leyva was tossed yesterday for arguing balls and strikes, and umpires, especially in general, do not like that at all. If you're going to argue a play, there's more understanding there, but balls and strikes, you just can't do that. The 0-2. Just looked like it was a ball low. Very nice competitive pitch from McEntire.
Putting so much on that fastball, he ended up slipping and falling. That was a good spot for the fastball, too. Very competitive pitch right on that outside corner.
Pitch number 99 on the way. Needs an out here. This counsel will call time. If he gets an out here, he could come back out for the 8th inning. Can't do it, though. Not on that one, but still ahead, of course. So it's official. We won't see him for the 8th inning. But if he get through 7, still a miraculous performance. And a swing and a miss. Will McEntire puts an exclamation point on his terrific outing. 9 strikeouts on 100 pitches through 7 frames. Huskies up 7-2. You're watching them on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
This summer, baseball fans and beer lovers unite behind the season's #1 draft pick, 5-Tool Ale. Created for the Northwoods League in honor of the rare and valuable 5-Tool player, this American cream ale is an amazingly drinkable beer. Look for 5-Tool Ale at your local Northwoods League ballpark, all Festival Foods locations in Wisconsin, or visit 5toolale.com. And please, remember to always drink responsibly, designate a driver, and get home safe.
Before Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, or Pete Alonso ever took the field in Major League Baseball, they were taking the field as players in the Northwoods League. Every year, more than 180 Northwoods League players are drafted by Major League Baseball teams. The Northwoods League is the largest organized baseball league in the world. The Major Leaguers of tomorrow are playing baseball in the Northwoods League today. Get your tickets and gear online, then visit a Northwoods League ballpark near you.
New pitcher for the Stingers in Chip Chase, number 32. This will be his first appearance for the Stingers, and why not? Huskies are up 7-2. Probably want to break out your new relievers in a new situation.
The Northwoods League is giving you the opportunity to play NWL Lucky 7 for your shot at $100,000. You can find the NWL Lucky 7 game at northwoodsleague.com under the gaming tab. Answer 7 questions correctly about action in the Northwoods League, and you could win $100,000. The game is free to play.
Thank you, Matt. Chip Chase will have to face off against the Huskies' heart of the order, and Peyton Powell, Amber and Wojcik, and Ryan McDonald. All 3 of those hitters have done damage today.
Tough spot to come in, especially here in the bottom of the 7th. Huskies have been in control for this entire ball game, but with it only being a 5-run ball game, the Stingers aren't really out of the ball game. So big opportunity here to have a scoreless inning and get back into the box.
And in-stepping Peyton Powell, who's 1 for 3 on the day. First pitch to him is drilled into deep left field, and over the head of the left fielder Fitzgerald. This will be extra bases for Powell when he stops at second base. So he has really displayed the power in the last 2 games for the Huskies. Second double in as many days.
Here's that opposite way power that we've been talking about. Low and outside, a beautiful pitch there. And Peyton Powell continues to impress during his time in Duluth. Wow.
And that's his 5th double of the season in 16 games played. How do you like that? First pitch to Wojtek, misses low, 1-0. You don't really see too many doubles here either at Wade Stadium. And the ball has been carrying in the last few days, but when you're hitting the ball that hard and nearly getting out, it's no cheap shot. Wojtek with that 2-run double last time, able to creep back up over 300. But look at those RBIs, 25 on the season. It ranked second on the team, right behind Mike Bovey.
I was just about to say that we have seen a lot of extra base hits in this series between the Huskies and the Stingers. You mentioned the Wojtek double. We just saw the Peyton Powell. Got a rare home run yesterday from Hamilton.
Especially opposite field, too. So that ball was hit hard into right field. It will get down. And Powell will stay at third. He wasn't sure. It'll be very interesting to see. We'll have to ask after the game if he was given the stop sign by Chaperone or made the decision himself. But it looks like no matter what, he was going to come around. Wojtek able to smoke that ball into right field. You see how the right fielder and Hamilton are unable to get it up quickly. And I guess when you're just up by this much, you don't want to test the arm.
No, absolutely. And that's the reason we saw the hesitation from Powell is the slip out there in right field by Hamilton. But you said it at the end of the day for Peyton Powell, you can't be too aggressive. 7-2 lead.
The first pitches misses upstairs to Ryan McDonald, who is showing bunt. He did have himself a bunt base hit in the Bismarck-Lark series. And the Huskies are very good at moving over runners in that way. Wojtek, of course, has speed. Tied for first on the team now, 11 stolen bases after Brooks tied him earlier this game. That ball is bounced on a one hopper to shortstop. There's one on to first base in time, so a 6-4-3 DP. McDonald doesn't get the RBI, but a run does come across for the Huskies as they're now up 8-2.
He does do the job, though, and seeing Ryan McDonald try to square one down in the beginning of that AB, Marcus Pointer, he just loves the first and third scenarios, whether it's having the runner on first getting the pickle so the guy from third can score or laying down a bunt down the first base line. We've seen an RBI bunt from Kaysen Tollett earlier in the ball game that helped the Huskies score.
It'll come from unusual suspects as well, from Tollett, from McDonald. He expects that from pretty much everyone in the Huskies lineup. 1-0 coming to Halverson, misses low. And that's what they practice in batting practice. And I know a lot of teams do this, but they make sure that every time they step in, that they try to square around a couple of times just to get those reps, and it works in-game as well. It's a direct correlation. So that ball is crushed into left field, but right there is Fitzgerald, and that will do it for the inning for the Huskies. However, the Huskies pick up one more as they inch closer to pick up their first win in 6 days. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Yeah. Hey, I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. Another level. We ain't never settle now. Level up. Watch me level up.
The Northwoods League Foundation is enriching the quality of life for families with an enduring and caring focus on the communities it serves. Through special events, subscription services, direct donations, and the sale of autographed memorabilia, the Northwoods League Foundation is harnessing a unique passion for summer collegiate baseball and investing in its community so everyone benefits from the wide-ranging experience offered by the great game of baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com/foundation and share your passion for the game we love.
Great customer service is MVTV Wireless Internet in a nutshell. From our exceptional CSRs to our licensed installation and support technicians, MVTV Wireless broadband service is second to none for the past 20 years. Join MVTV Wireless today by calling 320-564-4807. MVTV Wireless Internet celebrating 20 years of dedicated broadband service to Southwest Minnesota.
Huskies bring out a new pitcher in Richard Keel as they have an 8-2 lead to start out the 8th inning. They had a remarkable performance from Will McEntire.
Will McEntire, he was just absolutely unreal. The curveball, the fastball, you see it there, painted beautifully on the outside corner. But we were talking in that last 7th inning about Will McEntire that maybe this was his best outing in a Huskies uniform this summer, and that's saying a lot because he already had an impressive resume coming into this start, being an all-star.
It was his longest outing at 7 innings. He picked up the most strikeouts with 9. So he gives way to the Australian Richard Keel, just the second foreign-born Husky to play for Duluth this season. And Keel, of course, he pitched in Game 1 of the Bismarck series, was excellent. He led the way after a remarkable outing from Ben Girl, who went 5 strong. He went 2 scoreless. And Keel now coming in. And this also is huge because it saves Michael Sarhat and possibly even Ethan Hammerberg for another day. Perhaps for even closer game as well.
And Richard Keel, in those 2 innings, he does have 2 walks, so that's something to maybe look out for.
First pitch to Brett Hammett. Fastball misses low, and probably the most fascinating part of Richard Keel is he has 2 different motions. He'll throw upright, and he'll throw the slider, and then he'll go down and throw that changeup. As Hammett will be awarded first base, so you were talking about the control a little bit, and loses there.
I think Richard Keel thinks that it actually touched the bat.
Doesn't look like the Huskies are going to appeal from Marcus Pointer, so it will just be a hit by pitch. Let's take a look at it.
No, that definitely got, they got him in the right wrist.
Very close to hitting the knob, though. It's understandable why Keel thought that one hit him. Throws in a slow changeup for strike 1 to Matthew Ink. And that's what he'll do. He'll drop down sidearm level, switch things up. He's a very creative pitcher on the mound. Soft ground ball over towards second base. Wojtek has 1 play, goes on to first, and just gets out the hustling Ink by a couple of steps. So 1 away for the Huskies in the top of the 8th.
Really nice job there by Ambrin Wojtek, moving to his left and realizing that we are in the last 2 innings and your ball team, your ball club has a 6-run lead. No need to push the issue and try to turn the tough double play. Just get the out at 1.
In steps Josh Fitzgerald. Takes a slider for a strike, 0-1. Huskies just looking for outs in this situation. Need 5 more to pick up their first win in 6 days. Ball was tattooed down the left field line, but head foul into Wade Plaza. Fitzgerald on the day so far. He's 0 for 2. Fly ball, a pop-up, and a walk and a run scored.
It definitely can be deceiving, the switching of the arm angles, talking about Keel, but it's the way that you use your pitches during each arm angle. And what can be so effective about sidearmers is you have that slider that it just, if you have a righty-righty matchup like this and you throw a slider, it's going to look like it's breaking a lot longer like that.
And Kason Todd is able to get the tag. Had to run a long way to get him out. First strikeout for Richard Keel, and you said it, Matt, that slider is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it just, honestly, it looks like it's breaking from east to west just a lot longer than your usual slider. It looks like it starts off right at the batter's hip and then ends up in the lefty box. And then another pitch, you see the fastball. It's going to be a rising fastball.
And that's what happens when you throw from that angle. It's not really a sidearm angle. It's just a low three-quarter angle where he just slings it, especially that slider, too. It's almost as if he's not holding the baseball on top, but already from the side.
But it works just as well as maybe a sidearm thrower.
Carter Howell pops one up on the infield, and Mike Bovee makes the catch for out number 3. So Keel now has 3 scoreless innings in the books for the Huskies as they carry their 8-2 lead into the bottom of the 8th. You're watching them on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
The Salvation Army is more than just a red kettle at Christmas.
It's a warm, healthy meal when my cupboards are bare.
It was a safe place for our family when we didn't have a home.
It's a fun spot to learn teamwork and build character.
It's a community where all are welcome.
When you donate to the Salvation Army, expect change.
New pitcher for the Stingers is Will Roguski, who has a 10.13 ERA and 2 2/3 innings of work. He'll come in against the Huskies, who have an 8-2 lead, looking to sweeten up the pot as they just need to get 3 more outs to snap a 5-game skid. But more on Roguski. He comes from Illinois State University, and that ERA is inflated by his last outing against the Rochester Haunters back all the way on June 5th.
It has been a while since the Stingers have seen this guy toe the rubber, but those first 2 outings were scoreless for Roguski.
This case in Tala takes ball 1.
That first outing against the Express back on June 2nd, scoreless, 1 inning pitched. Same against the Honkers a couple of days later, but yeah, you're talking about that June 5th outing. 2/3 of an inning, gave up 3 runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. That's the only reason why the ERA is so high. He just doesn't have a ton of appearances, and it's because of 1 bad outing.
And it's also difficult, too, when you haven't pitched in over a month. Pretty much a month and 2 weeks and change. And we don't want to speculate, but there might have been an injury involved or perhaps something that he had to miss the season for. This case until it swings and misses in that one.
Well, that was a really nice curveball there from Roguski, and seeing him in his first batter faced here in the 8th inning, straight over the top.
It's good fastball, curveball combo, and especially when you throw 4 quarters, that curveball is all the more lethal. And Tollett is able to hold up. He does reach for the first time today. Once again, Tollett is someone who is 0 for 19 right now. But when you have a sacrifice bunt, you drive in a run, and you're also getting on base too, you have to feel like you're still being productive for the Huskies.
And we said that same thing when Kaysen Tollett got the RBI bunt single earlier in the ball game. The average is under 200, and when you're slumping like that, you just don't feel as involved with the team. And just doing the small stuff is going to get you back to having that good feeling with your team and get you out of the slump.
Can't ignore that caught stealing he had earlier in the game as well. So he's been all over the baseball diamond today. Jake Brill, the batter, up at the plate. He's 0 for 3 so far. A couple of fly balls and a pop-up. He's only played in 4 games for the Huskies this season. Second game he started in a row. And he's probably going to get a lot more playing time, especially after the departure of Kimo Fukafuka.
Especially with the way that he's been controlling the outfield in center field. But more on Tollett. Yeah, the bat has been inconsistent, but you can always bet on Kaysen Tollett making a difference defensively.
Towering fly ball towards the shortstop, and Matthew Ink will make the grab for out number 1.
I feel like almost every game Kaysen Tollett is in, we're always talking about that strong arm, him throwing out a runner, whether it be at second or third.
And just going back to your point earlier, there's so many catchers in baseball who have around a 200 batting average, and the Huskies have a few of those if you include Tollett and Brecker.
If you want to throw in Ryan McDonald.
Exactly,
yeah.
Yep. But they all produce for the Huskies in their own respective ways. Charlie Reed takes spot 1.
Now, a guy that we don't throw in for the Duluth Huskies, but the Texas Longhorns do, is Peyton Powell. Because Peyton Powell is a catcher, but because Blaine Robinson is no longer with the team, and that's kind of been an issue over at the first base side for the Huskies in the second half, finding someone to play that position other than Powell, Peyton has had to play it a lot.
And the Huskies, of course, do have the option of putting Xavier Carter at first base. He even threw a Ryan McDonald at first base in there, or even Kaysen Tollett as well, or Xavier Carter. But Powell has been the most productive of all of them. He has essentially locked up that position on his own accord. And that's what happens when you enter in the game, batting .309 the team, reaching in every game but one, and also adding in another multi-hit game. Swing and miss from Charlie Ree, who he himself is having another spectacular day at the plate. He's 1 for 2, but looks a lot better in the scorebook when you include the 3 runs he scored and also has a stolen base to boot. Pair of walks as well. He's done everything right as a leadoff hitter. And it's those foul balls, it's those elongated at-bats. And there's so many Huskies who do that already, but now they have another guy who does at the top of the order.
And that was another problem in the first half of the Duluth Huskies, is finding a guy to consistently get on base in that leadoff spot. Charlie Ree is answering the bell here in the second half. Michael Brooks was doing it for a little bit.
Will just be a long ball 3. No one able to advance there. But there's still a lot of confidence in the top of the order. Still a lot of confidence in Michael Brooks, who's on deck. And you already see that today. It's already paid off with that 2-run double he had. And it seems like he's a little bit more geared up for that 2 spot.
It's starting to look like Michael Brooks is getting out of that slump.
Charlie Ree able to walk for the 3rd time today. So this is really just home cooking for the Huskies at this point. Another opportunity for Michael Brooks to come through, and why not get double-digit runs to break off the Schneid?
Would definitely do good for this team going into a tough series starting tomorrow against the Mankato Moondogs. And you talk about needing runs. This offense has got to get hot in this game. That was the mission. You can check that off the list with the 8 runs.
Brooks takes a fastball in 1-0.
Because that Mankato offense, it was just so not surprising, but Talking about McEntire in his last start against the Moondogs, going 6 innings, a quality start against the Moondogs is you got to keep the baseball almost.
Definitely is the most deserving player of getting the baseball tonight. And just looking ahead, there's still a lot of really good starters coming up against Mankato. With Ben Peterson due up, first start we'll see from him in a while after that thigh injury. So that ball is scooted up the middle for a base hit. 1 run will score as Kason Tollett comes around and will touch home plate. So Michael Brooks picks up his 3rd RBI of the afternoon. The Huskies lead it now 9-2.
What a day for Michael Brooks, and this is the spark that he needed. And it started with the hit by pitch. After that, we see the hits coming from Michael Brooks. You get the infield single to the shortstop, and now you get one into the outfield, an RBI. Michael Brooks, this is what we were seeing in the middle of the season.
First pitch to Mike Bovey gets away from the catcher Hackman, but he stays in front and long enough to keep the runners at first and second respectively. And it's interesting because you talked about this earlier on today about whether or not to put Rhea at leadoff and Brooks in the 2 spot or vice versa. But it really doesn't matter where you put them at this point because they've both been so productive and they just both work off of each other.
No, it doesn't. And I think if Michael Brooks would have had a struggling day today, I think it would be a good opportunity for Marcus Pointer to maybe move him down in the lineup. Because in the beginning of the season, we saw Michael Brooks was 7, 8, and 9, and then he starts to catch fire, moves him up at the perfect time into that leadoff spot. Then the average starts to dip down, and that's why if we weren't seeing him start to get back into the Michael Brooks that we know, I would have liked to see Pointer maybe move him down in the lineup, but after a day like today, keep him in that 2 spot.
He's very deserving of it because, look at today, 3 RBIs.
Absolutely is.
The double as well. He has 15 extra base hits for the Huskies. It leads the team. And this is why he's so comfortable in that spot. But, like you said, if he had struggled, not a bad idea to move him down. And we even saw that work out for Charlie Rhea as well. He was kind of demoted down to number 9 spot after originally being the 1 or 2 hitter to start off his tenure with the Huskies. Did well, brought him back up to the leadoff spot, and rewarded manager Marcus Pointer for his efforts.
At the perfect time. That average jumping from about 240 to 270.
Full count for Mike Bovey as he skies that one just off the infield and camps down underneath it and makes the grab for out number 2. Even though Bovey got out that time, still has a multi-hit day to boot and still drawing all so many pitches.
And that's what you can count on. Even if Mike Bovey is going to get out, is you can count on him having a quality AB, having the guy on the bump work for the out, throwing at least 5 or 6 pitches.
In steps Peyton Powell, trying to work off of Bovey. And I say work off of Bovey because Bovey's able to see so many pitches against a new pitcher that allows Powell to read him better as well.
I think Peyton Powell, you could make the argument that Peyton Powell is the 2nd best hitter on the Duluth Huskies. I really do think that he is right up there with Ambrin Wojcik. I know we've had a longer span to see Wojcik, but the way that Powell drives the baseball the opposite way with power, we saw it in his last AB into the left center field gap. This dude is legit.
And Matt, there's little doubt in my mind that had Powell been here the entire season with the Huskies, he would have been an all-star.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wish that the Texas Longhorns baseball program wasn't so good.
Went to the semifinals of the College World Series this year. Eventually they lost to Mississippi State, who won the entire World Series this time around, so Texas Longhorns are a very lucky team to have such a lucrative player. He's trying to stay tough with 2 strikes. Falls that time around. Strike 3 called off the outside corner. The Huskies do pick up one more. They need to get the last 3 outs to secure the victory. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
Broadband internet throughout our community. Exceptional service built on integrity. Fast, affordable, reliable. Our technical support is simply unbeatable. Exceptional service starts here. NBTV Wireless. Connecting rural Minnesota.
Adolphson and Peterson Construction was founded in Minnesota in 1946 and has been building in the Duluth area since 1977. At AP, we build trust, communities, and people, while delivering an exceptional product and client experience. AP's core values reach beyond our approach to delivering quality work to our clients. We are committed to bringing positive and measurable change to the communities in which we live and build. AP is proud to be a part of this amazing community and sponsor the Duluth Huskies.
Stop down and see us in our Duluth office. Go Huskies!
Check it out.
Duck call.
No, it's a sweet call.
A sweet call?
Every time I blow it, Schweeters knows I love my truck.
Well, I love my truck. Let me try that.
Sweet!
Sweet call or not, you'll find the best selection, best prices, and best customer service today and every day at Schweeters Chevrolet of Willmar.
Sweet!
Did it work?
I have no idea.
Sweet!
It will be up to Richard Keel to get the final 3 outs to preserve a 9-2 Huskies victory. He'll have to face off, though, against the hardest part of the order, starting off with Will McEntire, who has annihilated the Huskies so far this series. He's a perfect 3 for 3 on the day, a pair of singles and an RBI double.
Will be some good competition for Keel. Liked what I saw in the 8th inning. Really went down to that almost sidearm slot. Was working in the slider and fastball combination pretty well.
Continues to do that here as looks like Tollett got hit in an unpleasant spot. He'll need a couple of moments to gather himself. So fortunate for him, Spencer Kim showing a class act going over to the mound and taking his time. Always so tough when that happens as a catcher.
Yeah, catcher is, in my mind, the toughest position to play in all of baseball. Having to take shots like that on top of catching, talk about the big leagues, 97, 98 mile per hour fastballs, and they make it look easy.
Look at the day that Tollett is having, too. Very productive from the hitting end, catching a really good game from Will McEntire, sticking with it with Richard Keel as well, and having to stay in there on a very warm day, even warmer for him on the turf and the catcher's gear. So he's been excellent behind the plate, to say the least.
One of the more solid games for the Huskies, and talking about that offense, we take a look at that scoreboard here at Wade Stadium. There's only been 1 inning that they haven't scored. It was the bottom of the 4th.
And I would even dare say that this is their most productive offensive day, because I don't think we've seen it this season where they've scored in every inning but 1. And that's how good they have been. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for a team that only averaged 3 runs per game over the last 3 games.
And you have guys in the Husky lineup this afternoon, they're breaking out of slumps. Michael Brooks with a huge day, and then you have Callan Halverson, who was belting the ball, hitting it on a rope towards the outfield.
He picked up a multi-hit game, too. He didn't have a lot of them for the Huskies this season, as Richard Keel continues to stay strong, picks up his 2nd strikeout of the afternoon. It's just so hard to get a good read on off speed. I don't care if Hamilton's a lefty and sees the pitch more. It's very tough to pick up the baseball. Look at how much he drops and just slings that arm right over the plate and just sinks. Perfect slider from the Australian native.
It reminds me a lot of the Major League pitcher Justin Masterson, talking about the arm position for Keel.
First pitch to Grant Carey, swings and misses at it, 0-1.
Because Justin Masterson, he was right on that plane of in between, the normal arm slot compared to the sidearm.
Masterson, one of the better starters for the Indians during the mid-2000s so far. So a very good comparison to have. Grant Carey on the day so far, 1 for 3 of a single and 2 strikeouts. Both of them were looking. And Matt, what's amazing as well about McEntire's performance is that 4 out of those 9 strikeouts were looking, which is a testament to how good his stuff was today.
Again, working backwards, and I think what I was most impressed with today was the ability to spot the fastball in the corners, painting it all day long, and Will McEntire, if the Huskies can get into a playoff series and you have Will McEntire going game 1, you have a very legitimate shot at taking that game 1.
Swing and a miss from Grant Carey, so Richard Keel continued to be dominant on the mound. Picks up his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon, 2nd strike in a row, and the Stingers are now down to their final out.
And again, talking about the potential playoff appearance for the Duluth Huskies, you talk about a 3-game series. You have Will McEntire, Johnny Baseball, and maybe throw in Ben Peterson or Ronnie Vocolo. That is a good 1-2-3 punch for a playoff series.
It really is, and Keel starting to be one of the better bullpen arms for the Huskies despite hitting a 2nd batter of the afternoon. He's someone who could also get some action late in the game, and that's huge for the Huskies because they brought in 3 new relievers in Richard Keel, Oscar Lepe, and Xavier Fossbender. So if even one of them can be a late inning option, that's amazing for this team.
And Richard Keel, early on, I know we haven't seen a lot of Keel, but in his first couple outings, he's looking like he can be that guy for Marcus Pointer. Hasn't given up a run. And that slider, he throws it for a strike most of the time.
It's best in primary pitch. That ball is mustered down to shallow ground and foul territory, but Bovey does not have a beat on it. It goes foul. But that just means the Stingers are down to their final strike. It would be icing on the cap if Keel can strike out the side against the Stingers to even up this series.
Would love to see Keel. He's been going a lot to the sidearm release, but I'd love to see him mix it up and maybe go over the top to finish this one in Duluth.
Does go up the slider, nearly plunks Hill. Looks like he's just trying to tie him up a little bit.
Maybe overthrew it.
Fans getting into it. They want to see the Huskies come home with a victory. Do the 1-2. Straight 3 called off the outside corner. The Huskies pick up a huge 9-2 victory. They had a remarkable performance from Will McEntire, who earned the win. 7 innings with 9 punch-outs, and Richard Keel shut the door with 2 scoreless innings of his own. What a ball game, Matthew Hargrove.
Finally ending the losing streak, stopping it at 5, and big 2-game set coming up, starting tomorrow against the Mankato Moondogs. This was a must-win in my book. We'll talk about it in the post-game show, but 9-2 victory, out-hit the Stingers 13-4, a very complete game for the Huskies.
We'll be back shortly with the post-game show and the player of the afternoon, but for the time being, Huskies 9, Willmar 2. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.
You have to be dedicated to play in a Northwoods League.
More than 700 players have been drafted in the last 5 years, and nearly 100 made their Major League Baseball debut in that time.
They play the games, and it's serious. You know, I mean, you're looking at maybe an opportunity to be a professional athlete in baseball. So that's what the Northwoods League is all about, the opportunity to shine.
The Northwoods League is the ultimate collegiate summer baseball experience.
Sometimes you need to look at life from a different perspective. In order to see the bigger picture. It was a lot easier to see my future from here. Lake Superior College Media Studies and Production.
Watch Northwoods League Baseball on all of your devices, including your home TV. Simply use one of these smart TV systems. Then search for the Northwoods League app in the App Store. Click on it and download it to your system. Then select the game you want to watch, either live or on demand, and enjoy. The Northwoods League app is available on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, or Android TV. For more information, visit northwoodsleague.com.
But what I loved about the Northwoods League is it's strictly college. The kids are all in the same peer group. It's just so refreshing. So if you like baseball, you leave a stadium and you feel really good about what you just saw.
That was one of the funnest experiences of my life, honestly. That was kind of the first time I, got away from home for a really long time and was kind of living on my own a little bit. The way it kind of simulates college and minor league baseball and professional baseball with the traveling and staying overnight, I had a lot of fun.
More than 700 players have been drafted in the last 5 years, and nearly 100 made their Major League Baseball debut in that time. The Northwoods League is the ultimate collegiate summer baseball experience.
I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? I'ma zip right past. Drip, drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. Another level, another level, another level. We ain't never settle now. Level up. Watch me level up.
Catch all the action of America's premier summer collegiate baseball league at northwoodsleague.com. Purchase tickets to a game near you. Support your favorite team and the Northwoods League Foundation with gear and memorabilia from our online store. Watch live television coverage of every game. Get the latest news and stats from across the league. Follow America's collegiate players on their journey to the championship and their place in Major League Baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com, your place for everything Northwoods League baseball.
The Northwoods League Foundation is enriching the quality of life for families with an enduring and caring focus on the communities it serves. Through special events, subscription services, direct donations, and the sale of autographed memorabilia, the Northwoods League Foundation is harnessing a unique passion for summer collegiate baseball and investing in its community so everyone benefits from the wide-ranging experience offered by the great game of baseball. Visit northwoodsleague.com/foundation and share your passion for the game we love.
Welcome into the Huskies post-game show. I'm Adam Cohen. Joined alongside me is my broadcast partner, Matthew Hargrove. The Huskies take this one by a score of 9-2 against the Willmar Stingers, and we have Michael Brooks as the player of the afternoon, with Zach Winfield going to interview him. We apologize for technical difficulties. We cannot get the interview in right now, but once again, just a great day for the Duluth Huskies. They snap a 5-game losing streak and clawed their way back to 500.
It certainly was a 5-game losing streak. Definitely don't want to make it 6 with the Mankato Moondogs coming to Wade Stadium tomorrow to begin a 2-game series, but a really all-around complete game. Will McEntire, this was his best outing of the year. Went 7 innings. That's the longest he's gone in the start this summer for the Duluth Huskies. And then he had the 9 strikeouts. That's the most he's gotten in an outing for the Duluth Huskies this summer. And then we talk about the offense. Callan Halverson getting out of a slump. He had a multi-hit day, and Michael Brooks was stupendous. But I think now we have the interview ready.
And we will send it back down to Zach Winfield for the interview.
I'm down here with Michael Brooks. We got back in the win column. It was nice to break the losing streak, but you were seeing the ball especially well today, a 3-for-4 day, 3 RBIs. You plated 2 runs. How did it feel to see the ball that well?
I felt great, honestly. Past couple games I've been, lining out or having poor at-bats, but today I felt pretty good, seeing the ball really well today, but yeah, I felt pretty good today.
In the standings, we know we're right there with Eau Claire, 1 game behind. This has to feel great for the team. What are you guys moving forward looking to do more of the same here today?
Playing clean defense. We had a great start from Will today. He pitched really well today. Bullpen's been a little off, but I know they'll come through at some point. But, keep racking up 13 hits and 9 runs. It should win us games.
When you get a start like this, especially from a guy like Will McEntire, what does it mean to you guys to prove that you can back him up with this kind of run support?
It means a lot to everybody. We know Will's a really good pitcher. He loves ground balls. He always tells us about it. But, when Will's pitching his game and we're playing our game, the coaches and everybody on the field know that we have a pretty good shot at winning the game.
Incredible day today. Congratulations on the win. Let's send it straight back upstairs, guys.
UCF night that he had an incredible performance from his starter in Will McEntire. Just makes things so much easier for the offense as well.
No, it was, and it lets the offense kind of get in a groove. When you come into a ball game and you know the ace is on the bump, that's going to make you, like you said, feel more comfortable, because if you get out in your first AB, you're not worried about it because you're like, well, Will McEntire is going to keep us in this ball game even if we come out cold. But the Huskies didn't do that right off the bat. They didn't score in 1 inning. That was the 4th. And if you're doing that consistently, you're going to win a lot of ball games.
We have seen the Huskies put 14 runs on the board, but tonight they put up 9, and they were amazing. Mike Bovee starting things off with that RBI single to left field. Then Kason Todd, how about him putting down a sacrifice bunt to get things going? And then we have the RBI fielder's choice from Peyton Powell. Huskies were quickly up 3-0. Stingers did respond with that RBI sacrifice fly, but McEntire was able to get out of the end thanks to a great throw from Kason Todd right on the money.
We're going to see a lot more runs during this highlight. There's some more of the RBI, the 2 RBI double by Amber and Wojcik. But Kason Tollett, there were 2 guys that didn't pick up hits today in the Duluth lineup. Tollett was one of them, but he was still able to get an RBI, but just doing his job and getting an RBI bunt down the right field, or should I say the first base side. And we saw that cannon earlier in the highlight reel. This dude is unbelievable with that arm.
Really is. And Michael Brooks, of course, having a great day at the plate. He was the player of the afternoon with 3 RBIs. Peyton Powell, too, having himself another great day. That double that was just off the base of the wall. Second double in as many games.
Peyton Powell is, I know we see right on cue, Amber Wojcik with the RBI single to slip out there into right field, and then you get the RBI double play or the non-RBI double play. But Peyton Powell, we were talking about it in the broadcast. This is a dude who, in my opinion, is the second best hitter for the Duluth Huskies. And that's not to take away anything from Amber and Wojcik. I just think that that extra layer that Powell brings with the opposite way power consistently makes him just maybe a little bit of a better hitter than Amber and Wojcik. It's a 50-50 shot when you really look at things, but nobody's topping Mike Bovee. Mike Bovee today, another just getting it done. Mike Bovee just finds a way. I just really cannot remember the last time that this dude did not get a hit. He is absolutely sensational, but Peyton Powell has been putting on a show. He's a really underrated player in this league.
And we've talked about Wojcik, Bovee, Powell, how they're all kit starters for the team, but look at Charlie Reed being a table setter, getting 3 walks, 3 runs, and a base hit to boot as well. Just setting everything up from the top of the order, and Michael Brooks, of course, following suit, back in number 2 spot.
So in the beginning of the season, we saw Marcus Pointer going to guys like Kyle Westphal and Zach White in the leadoff spot. It just really wasn't working out. And the first time, Charlie Reed, right when he got into Duluth, Minnesota, he wasn't working out as a leadoff guy because we were talking about how Michael Brooks moving him up at the perfect time, the leadoff spot, and that's what I'm getting to. You get that 8-game road trip in 7 days where Michael Brooks went on a tear. He has the leadoff home run in La Crosse on that Saturday night. And ever since then, Michael Brooks has been one of the more valuable assets of this Huskies offense. But Charlie Reed, what he's been able to do after the slow start has been incredible because he adds another piece to this dominant Huskies lineup in that one spot.
And the great thing is about this lineup is that it's pretty much the same lineup they keep throwing out there every day, with the exception of Kason Tollett or Brian Brecker. Kind of choose your pick at the dish. So they're just running it back almost each and every time, and now they are really showing off their power display going station to station, which sets them up well for the Mankato series.
If I were to pick one, I think it depends on the situation, Adam, because if the offense is hot, you can put in Kason Tollett because you need that defense. And a guy that's not hitting as well, you have the 8 other guys to make up for it. Now, if the offense is slumping a little bit, you can go to a guy like Brian Brecker, who's had more clutch hits this season than Kason Tollett. The average is higher, just above 200, not much. But this catching duo defensively, even with Brian Brecker, even though I say he's a better offensive player than Kason Tollett, it's not like you're taking away anything defensively when Brian Brecker is not behind home plate.
It's hard to pick between the two, and that will do it here from the broadcast booth at Frank Wade Municipal Stadium. The Huskies take this one once again by a score of 9-2 against the Willmar Stingers. From my broadcast partner, Matthew Hargrove, I'm Adam Cohen, and thank you for spending your Sunday afternoon with us. You're watching the Huskies on the Northwoods League Baseball Network.